can ride on out up to the morning. As long as we make the show, we can be the best or we can be the worst. So we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here today. We are here today to talk about several things. Of course, we wanted to potentially have a discussion with somebody coming at the Chaz today named Broke Joe, but we just don't have time for those types of things because not everybody wants to be on board with defending themselves. Even though they asked if anybody disagrees with me, say something and come on the show and let's talk about it. And I disagree with one or a few things that he said. Kind of said, hey, I see where some of these guys are coming from. Disagree with, and then said, let's go and talk about it. And no, exiled instantly. We're exiled, ridiculed, talked about wives and all that. So he is not coming in though. He hasn't responded with a yes. So that's not happening. But something I wanted some people to know, because it seems like they have forgotten when it comes to this Broke Joe deal. This right here is the Chaz's YouTube channel, 9,000 subscribers. And this is the video list. And if we go to latest, you'll see some Broke Joe stuff. You'll see something in all these different videos. But if we click popular on this, just trying to help people understand something. If you look down this list of all the popular videos, the 40, the 50, the 30, the 60,000 views, the 20, the 15s, the 10s. I mean, if you go down this list of all the successful content on your screen, I see me talking, I see I see music videos are at the top of the list. Of course, I see Kyle Larson. I see interviews with Keith Coons, talks with Bobby Pierce, intro video. I see Jonathan Davenport. I see Mike Rose at Tulsa. I see Bubba Wallace. I even see Tyler Carpenter. I see all these people and all of this successful I see Tanner Holmes. But I'm not seeing the words Broke Joe. Because it seemed like from some people that I have been seeing talk, and even somebody who are a little delusional. Hell, I even see Wade Onger and Greg Gunderson, who's a hell of a part seller. GRI, look him up. He's around Houston. I'm just simply trying to say it seemed like some people were confused and thought that Broke Joe made my shows and content worth watching. Where it looks like I got a lot of evidence contrary to that. Me singing in the backyard with a cowboy hat has more views than any Broke Joe content we have. So, I just wanted to get that out of the way at the top of the show, that even if Broke Joe is involved with my content or not, the channel will go on and be based on all of this actual truthful evidence will be successful without Broke Joe in it. I'm just basing that on results and reality. Now, y'all can go over there and tell everyone why people are in relationships, you know, and I do have a little sympathy for when he goes after Shane Golobic and his getting with a Matt Wood's daughter to get into racing riches. I do have an issue with that. Not before I got into the relationship I'm in, but now that I'm in this relationship with somebody who has a father who has some type of wealth, I got to learn through how that happened, that it ain't just this giant scheme of negative intentions as to how people get into relationships or interact. You know, there's a lot of ways things happen. And with Broke Joe, the one thing that I have noticed on a relatively consistent basis is that he judges everything that could be with an assumed worst intention based judgment. It's like the worst intentions of a situation. Could Shane Golovic go after Matt Wood's woman and or daughter, and that's why he did that? You know, that sounds like the worst intentions possible. Could they have just had a relationship? Even the relationship I'm in, you could sit there and I even made this joke like an hour ago with the woman. I was like, somebody could sit back and say that Chaz was this broke guy running around doing music videos, doing content, and he like went and looked up all the dirt racers' daughters and found out which ones are single and picked a few and pursued a relationship with some of them and got with one of them. Like in the worst intentional based scenario, that, I mean, could sound probable to people who see things through the worst possible intentions that people could have in the world. In reality, though, I was doing my own thing, and this random girl that I didn't even know hit me up. And then I didn't even know what, you know, obviously, late model people could be having a damn auto parts store. Cool, who cares? I didn't know the situation I was getting into, honestly. I didn't know late model world a lot. But I'm just saying that how things happen in reality can sometimes be just a result of what happens with good intentions from both parties and both sides. The only way you look at some of this stuff, like Broke Joe, is if you look at it from a lonely, sad, overworked, stuck in a little hole in the wall of a lifestyle perception. And you don't develop and grow because you can't see the world through good intentions. Therefore, it's hard to produce some of your own. And maybe sometimes that's why we always say, it's not about what you are, it's about the reflection in the mirror. Some people project that negativity. Some people encompass it, reflect, and evolve. I try to be on that side of the aisle. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this show is not about Broke Joe, but it is talking about somebody who is just a little bit broke. We do have him on the line, PA racer Zach Rhodes. You are here. We finally got you in here, Zach. We got the pretty picture of you with the checkered flag and the race car. How's it going tonight?
Hey, buddy. Good. How you doing?
Now, see, most people are like, PA driver, Zach Rhodes, who the hell is this guy? And I came over there, obviously, you were a fan of some of my content, and I came over there on my own dollar, even though Broke Joe will tell you that I'm out just stealing everyone's money. I came over there on my own dollars.
You didn't at all. You volunteered, yeah, man.
Yeah, I volunteered, came to a race at Path Valley. I'm a big fan of Path Valley. I love short tracks. And I was just coming to watch you. And you whooped everyone's ass that night. I thought, I go around, I talk about these guys who just don't have opportunities. They're stuck in 305s. They work their whole damn life. And they just can't find a way, like 100% of society, to get $65,000 cash and give it up for one motor. That's kind of hard to do, and I think that there's a lot of talent in these more affordable divisions that just don't have daddy's money. And when I showed up and watched what you did, it was yes, the track was a little one group, but you handled your business. It was like an outlaw team. You loaded up, you won your heat, you won the main, you swept the night, I believe. So, I mean,
right.
Talk about
sort of like,
go ahead.
Like that one night, first night there, I think 21st to 4th there, just that place is awesome.
Yeah, I really like. Yeah, Path Valley we're talking about. Definitely. Sorry, we're having a little bit of connection issue.
Yeah.
Are you there? It's okay. You are in the mountains of PA. It is hard to develop in life. What has the racing career of a Zach Rhodes, what is it doing today? What are you doing right now? Is it literally just the PA 305 scene, which obviously the only thing I have against the PA 305 scene is it's kind of, taking advantage of your love for sprint car racing, I think, kind of with how little it pays. But it seems to be just the only option for guys in an affordable price range who want to race and have some talent.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually got a group message today with some guys that want to have a meeting about that and stuff, and asked if I'd be willing to join. And thankfully, Kerm and Roger, which you met, they gave me an opportunity here, and really have been able to show what we can do.
Yeah, and it's the
The
31
series,
car, right? Hold on, sorry.
yep, Weaver Racing.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah,
The
you were down at
payout's
the
just
shop.
tough in that division, it seems like, over there.
Yeah. Oh my God, all them guys are good. Austin Reed, Doug Dotson, Cruz Kepner, Logan Spar. I could name a million people in the class that come and run weekly that could win. Probably 20 at least every week.
Right. Well, and then I didn't know it, but we started talking a little bit, and it ain't just been so simple and easy for life for you all the way. It seems like you've had somewhat of a tough road. How did you get into racing to begin with as a kid? What happened there? How did that go?
Yeah, my dad, he loved it, and he grew up working on mini sprints with my pap and them, and Edwin Stein and Gene William. But yeah, they grew up in it, and when I was a child, I remember going with my dad watching, and sometimes he'd have to leave me behind because he couldn't afford to take me, and we all know how that goes, standing outside screaming and whatnot, hoping he'd turn around and come get you, but he didn't hear you. And anyway, eventually, I was about 5 or 6, and one of my dad's buddies threw me in a court at his house, and man, we put in a hell of a lot of laps, just seat time, and we'd get buckets of water and water the track, and running in, and that's where it kind of all started. And I remember they took me to the track the first night, and I was going for the lead, and I flipped the go-kart down a little Greenwood Speedway, and when we got home, my mom was scared, and she didn't want me to do it, so my dad was hiding some trophies for a couple weeks after that.
Nice.
But yeah, then, I mean, I had a lot of opportunities in the go-karts from a lot of people that helped me out, and just over the years, as we spoke about, I've ran micros from a pretty young age, on and off, and my dad pretty much just spent all of his money just keeping us on the track or whatever.
Just for micros?
Yeah, even the go-karts, man. Me and my brother, so 2 of us racing every weekend. We ran Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, yeah, it was a lot.
So you just raced micros for years then?
Yeah, we did. Once we got a little bit older, we went into the micros, and we raced them for a good while.
What's older?
I think I was like 13 or 14 maybe, my first time ever in one.
Okay. So then what was the age when you got out of micros?
Well, I was in and out, boozing, partying.
Drop the phone. Come on now.
Yeah. So I went to prison for a while.
So wait, you were racing micros and then went to prison?
I wasn't really racing at the time. Just financially and obviously, like I said, just partying and whatnot. But my parents went through a divorce and all that, and we didn't have no racing stuff. I tried to get some opportunities, but people thought I was just some squirrel, some broke dude.
Really?
He can't drive. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm just thinking to myself. That's probably what they thought, and now they're probably thinking, damn, I wish I would have gave that kid a shot in my car,
So did you have any success when you were racing micros, or did you just not have the money?
Yeah, it was more so just running for top 10 and just trying to have fun, I mean, I won races, obviously, over the years, but it was more so like I never ran new tires. I never had new parts. I never had, we just ran what we had, and went and had fun.
I guess that's all you can do when you ain't got the big money to run up front. Well, what drivers did you run up against, obviously, and where did you run in PA?
I ran with Macri and Dylan Cisney ran go-karts with us. A lot of them guys ran go-karts and stuff growing up.
And you beat those guys?
I mean, I'm sure I have. A lot of them guys, even in our 305 class, came from, like, Kenny Hefner. We were battling for a couple times now for the win. Cruz Kepner. Trying to think of some of the other 410 guys.
So I guess it sounds like it just depended on how much money you had on if you advanced or not.
What's that, buddy?
I guess it kind of means that the only way you moved up is if you had the money to do so.
Oh, yeah, I actually never thought I'd race at Port Royal when I was young. I was just like, young, dad living week to week and trying to spend all his money to keep us racing, whatever we were in at the time, which we were in carts. Every once in a while we'd get to watch at Port or something, but yeah, and actually, like,
You're kind of low again. I don't know if you've muffled your face or what, but
there's a train.
Okay, it's a train. Train rolling right through this episode so far with all these connection issues. I'll tell you that.
But yeah, so just moving up through, and once I finally got this ride, it's just like things really been clicking, and I've been showing what I've been able to do.
Well, what happened in you said it went from micros to I guess legal issues. That's the timeline.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you had these legal situations?
Oh man, Chaz, I don't know. Let me think. Just young teenager stuff, running with the wrong crowd.
Right. I noticed you're all tatted up. You ain't AB, are you?
No, I'm not AB, but
how long did that put you out of commission?
Well, I actually went to a boot camp program too while I was away, so that really helped change my attitude and my mindset, But I was gone about a year and a half or so, and I think it was a couple years right before I went. We weren't racing. I think the divorce happened and stuff. We were broke,
Right, family shit.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just maybe that's why I was partying. Just numb all the pain,
Right.
Yeah,
it sucks when you get to that position in life. Did you look at life any differently once I've heard stories from people who go to prison or get sentenced, like the feeling that you get when they say you're going away for this amount of time. I heard that's like just a feeling you can't describe.
Yeah, that's man, that's a low there, buddy. It really makes you think about what you do before you do something anymore.
Does it make you worry the rest of your life, or what do you mean think?
Just makes you think anything can happen to anyone, really,
Right.
I mean, I was driving drunk, and anyone could have got caught again, but of course, just a stupid decision,
Well, we all see the stands at these races at the end of the night. So, pick one. Pick one, really. That's the sad truth, right?
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, for real, like you say, everyone leaving, chances of someone getting caught is pretty good.
Right.
It's sad. I don't want anyone to go through nothing like that ever. I'm not even a worst enemy,
What was life in your situation? I guess was it juvenile?
What's that?
What was it like being in that situation? Was it a juvenile sentence style of issue?
No, this was state prison.
And what
it was pretty,
that
pretty
has
rough,
to be,
man.
yeah, I mean, it's just, not a lot of people go, you know, I mean, some people do, but not a lot of people go to prison. What was that like?
You see a lot of stuff you probably shouldn't ever have to see in your life.
Like what, undercooked chicken? I mean, come on now, give a description.
I mean, if that's all it was, it would be all right. But no, you see people getting stomped. You see people getting cut, you know, people telling. You mind your business. You know, and that's where you really learn another lesson. It's like, you don't never know who you're fucking with.
This is true. I mean, I mess with Kyle
For
Larson.
real.
He's potentially a John Wick undercover.
You know what I mean? I'm a badass, so
He could be a ninja.
You know, it's the wrong day. Like,
He really
but
could
also,
be.
I could be the sweetest dude ever. You know, talk to me.
And so then, at the end of all the sentencing time, what was the transition like back to normal life? I hear that's an issue too.
Oh boy, yeah, it took me a while. I actually was on some medicine to bring me down, just trying to.
What do you mean bring you
how
down?
to
Was
say
the nerves? Is it a different type of alertness you have to have in the prison life? What do you mean bring down?
I just like everything I seen and just how I was feeling. I guess they felt it was good to put me on some Xanax to calm me down. I was a little wild, I guess. Good nickname would be Wild Child too.
So even on the way out, you were still crazy. You hadn't been broken yet?
I wouldn't say crazy, but I mean, you know how it is.
You saying you had to hold your own?
Oh, you definitely got to do that.
Did you get into
You
any
get taken
fights in
advantage
prison?
of really fast. No, not up there.
What do you mean then?
You get into little scuffles with people, but I got lucky and didn't get into any fights like that.
Is it very racial oriented?
Yeah, a good bit.
Well, you just see that portrayal in the Hollywood movies. You see that portrayed on
Yeah,
History
pretty
Channel and all these things. You know, you get told that, you know, behind bars it's just segmented by race most of the time.
You stick to what you are. Yeah.
And that's true. There isn't a part of it that's normal, kind of like the real world. It's all segmented.
I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I met a lot of cool people there. So, I mean, you'll talk to a lot of people and meet different people and whatnot. But, yeah, a lot at the end of the day, you meet a lot of cool races. Everyone's just like you know.
It's just the power segments of it are racial.
Yeah, and some of them aren't friendly at all. You know, you don't even want to look at them, right?
Right.
Know?
It's intimidation tactics.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
You just kind of mind your ass. It's like in the pit area, you know.
Well, I don't do
Something
that.
happens.
That's why people don't like me, because I be jumping everywhere. But
Well, the Chaz, you are the Chaz.
I know. Hey, the Chaz has special permission. We're the town joker. So you do this for a year and a half. You're in this high intense situation. How old were you when you got out?
Oh man, yeah. I think 26.
26 years old.
26. Yeah.
That's still.
26.
And what was even on your mind in life at that point? What was the goal? What did you think you were gonna do?
To be honest with you, I didn't know.
Well, is going to prison that much of a hindrance on being able to move forward? Because you hear about that in like prison reform and voting and rights, stuff like that. Is there a lot of things that come attached to you once you're out?
Yeah, I mean, people look at you differently sometimes, I guess. And, I don't know. You just gotta not care what people think as much as you do change or whatever. But
Well, I was just trying to figure out. You said you didn't have an idea of why you were going forward. Or what you were going to do. I was trying to figure out why.
yeah, it's really a mind thing. It really messes with you. You think your life's pretty much done for, you know?
Oh, but you're still 26.
Yeah, but you got stuff on your record, you know. A lot of people upset with you for what you've done.
Right. So who even
And
was there for you when you got out?
I don't know, my family was.
And that's about it?
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't even really want me. It's just, I'm their family. So, I mean, I'm glad they were there for me. They really were, but
You felt like a burden?
Yeah, you always do. That's how I felt 90% of it.
And then I'm assuming, at this point, you're not even thinking of racing. You're just trying to think of what to do. What clicked and got you to go in a certain direction? A job of some sort?
No. I mean, actually, when I came home, my brother and I were racing Lakers when I was there, and a new sponsor, Garmin, Sean Garmin and Scott Garmin had my brother a car when his blew up, I believe, and he won a race in it at Path Valley. And when I come home, he gave me an opportunity to drive that car. And I don't think he even knew I was through at that time or nothing, but he didn't ask, and why I wasn't there around before, and I don't think he really cared, But he did what not many people did, and he put some faith in me, and he's still with me today,
I would assume at that point in your life, where you've had all this happen, you don't really know what to do. There's, society's kind of turning you away because of this record you're talking about. You feel like a burden to your family. I would assume that a decision like that for in that moment from somebody to put you in the race car had to be like a really, really big deal for your life morale.
Oh yeah, that really, really picked me back up. Even the makers, it was just something I love to do, and
make you feel normal.
Yeah, it's like when I'm in a race car, it's not me. It's what I was, or whatever. And I tell you what, I know one thing: I can drive a race car.
And so, how old are you in today's world?
I just turned 33, Chaz.
So 33. So
right after
6 years
after that win at Port Royal.
Oh, right after the wins, the Port Royal win. That was on the World Outlaw night, correct?
Yeah.
So, in 6 years, you went from coming out in a jail cell, prison cell, to winning and racing in the Pennsylvania Sprint Series. How long did it take you from the moment you got out of jail to winning your first race, though? Because this has all happened pretty quick, Within 6 years, it's a big ride, It
probably took me, I'd say, I'm not sure if I raced the first year. It might have been. But I'd say I won my first race probably. Could be wrong. I'm thinking the second year. It might have been the first year, like halfway through the season. But if not, it was the second year for sure. When I won the first micro race.
Right.
With the AMCS series.
Now, obviously, a lot of things have happened to get to this point. That first guy that gave you that shot back in a car had to be a big deal. But what else? Did anything else come along that made it a little bit more successful?
within that at that time, or
Right. To progress so fast to even get to a 305, how does that even happen?
well, like I said, I started racing so young. Like it's all I ever wanted to do, and everything you do is like racing, you know, when you're young. So that's all I was about.
Right, and then you get out of prison, you're in a micro. How do you get to a 305 from that point? What happens?
Well, actually, so Roger and Kerm, the owners of the Weaver Racing 31, happened to race micros at the time, and that's when I met them. And actually, back then is when he told me about what was going to happen one of these days, and I thought he was actually kind of joking. So, I mean, I don't know how I transitioned so fast, but it wasn't long apparently, and here I am.
So when did they put you in the 31 car?
So what happened there was my girlfriend and I got my first car, and I just pieced it together. It was an '07, and they got their car, and he wanted me to put my seat in then, and I felt like I needed to prove myself a little, so mine blew up the next year, and that's when he's like, "Are you ready to put your seat in yet?" And it was halfway through last season when I started driving that car.
Okay, so that would have been, what, 3 years ago?
No, I started driving his car a year and a half ago.
Okay, so up until that point, you had just only ran the micro, and then 1.5 years of the own car, or 1-ish years.
I had the OZ car for about a year and a half. I think I had 3 years to an FPA Sprint Series.
Okay. This doesn't have to be such an interview. You can talk.
I'm just taking all the chat. I don't think I old too much.
What happened?
I don't think of old times too much, so I'm just kind of taking it all in.
Well, you shouldn't have to think about it much if it happened.
Right. I mean, I have a lot of head injuries. Being a race car driver for so long.
That's not good publicity for the sport. What do you think needs to happen to make it safer, or safer even a thing? Do you even care?
It's actually, I feel pretty safe right now. I mean, 410s are just so fast. I don't know about that, but with our stuff, I mean, it's fast, but I mean, I feel like everything's there's not much you can do, you know.
Having a bit of more audio issues, it seems like, here with Zach. Been having them since the beginning. And once again, an issue with the PA area. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
The Appalachian Mountains are not allowing this to go smoothly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I had to move. But yeah, so pretty much this year's just been great. I mean, we had a couple rough weeks in a row there, and we were going to take a little break. Ended up going to Winchester, Virginia, and getting our first win as a team down there in the Weaver Racing 31.
Yeah.
That was great, you know.
And then you've dominated pretty much ever since, right?
Yeah, we did. I went to Hagerstown in 1 week, and the car was a little free. Unfortunately, I junked our new car, but the guys, they didn't even care, you know? And it was like, wow, it was a big deal to me. But, you know, they trusted me, and we have a couple guys that help out, and they'll bust their ass, you know, for nothing. Like, it's not like anyone gets paid.
Right.
So we all work our jobs, and then we go and work on that when we can.
Right.
But I mean, Kerm, he's an older fellow, and we just can't put too much on him. Roger, obviously, he's the main mechanic. I mean, he busts his ass all the time, and makes sure he gives me a good car. And I'm telling you what, it's just like a brotherhood we have in the shop, really. I mean, we've been clicking, as you've been saying.
Well, and then the season's over there, right? It's pretty much done.
Yep, we're done. We tore down, and we're getting ready to start building for next year.
Well, and then what's next year? Going to be 410s?
No, no one offered us any motors yet, so.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I don't see much people moving up or getting support from the lower divisions over there. It's weird.
I'm not sure, Chaz.
You would think that 305s would be like a, kind of like a tryout division at least for the upper echelon teams.
Oh man, I agree with that 100%. I heard you say that on the other video there the other week, and I was just like, that's exactly. I mean, these guys are phenomenal. All these guys we race, we've seen them. You know, some of the guys ran 358s and 410s and 305s for years. You know.
Right, and it just seems it's almost, it's like I was saying in the video yesterday. It seems like there's a lot of winners in lower divisions not moving up versus guys who are running 5th or 10th with the funding to move up, and they move up to the next level.
Right.
And that's, there's no true vetting of the sport, but that's supposed to be the vetting process. The way you're supposed to judge if a guy is supposed to go to the 360 or 410 sprint car level is how he's performing on the 305 level, or he shouldn't go to 410s till 360s or 358s. Until you're winning in that division, you're not supposed to move up. But it seems like due to, and I kind of made this point yesterday, the parts house, I called it Parts House Vampire. And I was trying to describe how it seems like these chassis manufacturers and engine builders and shop guys, they're trying to sell as much stuff as they can. Why would they not encourage a rich daddy that their kid may be good, and why not after 1 or 2 years tell them that, he just needs another year or two in his belt. He'll be good, just to keep selling the money, to the rich entity. Well,
you see that a lot.
Yeah, and I think that the rich, there's room for the rich daddies. I just think that they should be car owners. Maybe these guys need to have cars and put real drivers. The guys winning in the 305s or the 360s. Why aren't you putting that guy in a car?
It is true, I mean, it's a lot of money, though. I mean,
well, it's a lot of money, but you hear these daddies just say that they love the sport. Well, put a sporty driver in the car.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, what's the problem here?
You're right.
I mean, that's how sports used to work. You talk about how, or I've heard people from PA, I think Jeremy Elliott will say, they ain't got many car owners, and it just seems like that is true. And I think that this could potentially play a factor in that.
Yeah, a lot of the big teams, or all the big guys.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess, is there anything else you want to say?
Well, I don't know. When are you coming back to PA, Chaz?
I know you got to go to work, so.
I know, yeah.
That's probably why you sound all groggly, is because this is past your bedtime. Exactly.
Maybe that's why.
Past your bedtime. But I don't know. There ain't many reasons to come back to PA. Somebody said I was supposed to announce at BAPS their last race. That'd be funny if that was to happen.
Why didn't you do that?
I mean, even though I guess I'm lying that I'm broke and all this. I mean, I'm not lying. I mean, I just did the California. I mean, think about it. I was on the road from the Eldora Million, then I went to you, then I went to New York, then I came back here, then I went to Texas, then I went to California, then I just got back here. So I mean, Knoxville, Houston, Jackson's in there as well. I mean, it's the stuff's not free. And even though I do have supporters that support, and I do make ad revenue on YouTube, eventually the water runs dry. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's a lot of travel. I'm so thankful that you offered to come out and do that for us.
Right.
I mean, it was great to meet you. And like I said, whoever was saying all that shit, yeah, you helped out. Obviously, you did this for free. Like, you ain't. And like you said, you travel around, you got to pay for your expenses and shit.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. We do have somebody in the
broke Joe.
Yeah, it was just broke Joe. He's just broke. But a guy says, how many races does Zach get out of one motor? How much for a 305 Sprint motor? 20 years ago, you could put 30K into one, but they lasted 20 races. I ain't heard that. I've heard that if you have one of those 20, the RaceSaver Sprint car motor, I think what now tops out at 26.
Yeah, I know Kermit. I mean, right
the
around
baddest
22.
of the baddest is 26. It's 27, right?
Yeah, we're at 22.5.
And then it was like 5 or 10 years ago, you could have one for 10 grand that would do the same thing, But I heard that they last a very long time, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're saying you can get up to 54 races on them, just changing the valves and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they are, realistically, it's one of those motors you don't need a motor builder for. I mean, it is so much of a simple build that if you're a halfway decent assembler, I've heard you could do it in your garage and have a decent motor.
Right. I believe that's true. I mean, some people just have a little more experience with it and maybe know a little more secrets or tips to it. But, yeah, I feel like, I don't know how some of the people are getting 30, they're saying into them. But
yeah, I don't know how that is either. One question is, how much do you think it costs you to run for one night overall?
I'd say 3,000 probably close to, if you're running new tires and stuff. Fuel for the race car, pit passes, gas, and the truck to and from,
About $3,000 a night.
Tearing the motor.
Racing for 500.
Right. Maybe even say 1,500 if you're just skimming by used tires and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Just a rough guess. That's probably including maintenance and stuff too. I mean, you got your gear oil, all that, which 9 times out of 10 we'll just reuse ours. But
okay, quick question: have you ever been in a 410? Give me a quick yes, no.
No.
Okay. Veilhauer Speed Shop, which is Jeff By from Florida, he runs a 305 Sprint car, and he says he's got 10K complete in his. I'm assuming that's going to be a 40-night motor, a minimum of 30-night motor. Because they don't turn the RPMs, Zach. You don't get those high RPMs that the 360s and 410s are going for.
Right.
And so it doesn't wear the motor out. You stay within a reasonable RPM range with a 305 motor as far as longevity is concerned.
Yeah.
But this Veilhauer Speed Shop, this is the guy, and I've heard that, and I'm willing to do it, Zach. I mean, we've got some talkings in the background. Maybe this is another rekindling of the discussion. But y'all, when I was at Pat Valley with the 305 guys, I paraded the damn pits. And,
yeah, you did.
And there was a lot of buzz around the Chaz and some other people, and the person I had in mind is one of them is in the chat, this Veilhauer Speed Shop, because he's got some connections in Florida, of a Florida Speed Week with the 305s.
Yeah, we've been talking.
You remember this?
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's a lot of people who are up for the and y'all. And the weird thing about the 305s in PA is, like I say, I think they prey on your want to be a race car, sprint car driver in particular, because you got like what 70 of those 305s racing for 500 to win and stuff. Like, how many are in
It's
PA?
crazy.
I mean,
How many cars are in PA?
305s.
There's probably over 150 cars in PA. I bet 305s. I bet.
Really?
I mean,
Racing for 500 or 400. 500 is a special night, right?
Not every one of them's going to the same track, but there's a lot of different tracks that race on the same weekends, different series and stuff here. But,
somebody just asked what RPM range. 7,100 is what Jeff says. I've heard you can get them to 72, but they don't ever really get over 72 ever.
I like to be at 69 to 72. We went to Bridgeport and threw the wrong gear in, and we were screaming at like 77, but it felt like it was going to blow up. It just flat, wasn't pulling,
So 72 is about 69 to 72 is about where the 305's range is.
Yeah, okay. That's about the sweet spot.
So, back to Jeff By here. Is this Florida Speed Week deal viable? How many cars, if Florida put on?
I could probably bring 10 cars from PA, easy. I mean, if I said that we're going to PA or Florida and they're paying decent money, I got 10 to 15 probably easy.
Well, now here's the crazy part. The UMP dirt car modifieds go down there and race for anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000, and that's really, they don't feel like that's a lot of money because UMP dirt cars, they race for $5,000 and $10,000 all the time.
It must be nice.
Right, and well, they're only getting 40 cars, 30 or 40. I feel like if you do a couple of 2,000 or 5,000 to win 305 shows down in Florida, you're going to get 150 cars.
Especially if it's early in the season before we start, everyone wants to get out and shake things down and whatnot too,
Well, and 305s are kind of the one division that's left out from down there. Every other class of car I can think of, I mean, midgets, non-wing sprint cars, wing 410, wing 360, late models, crate late models, dirt cars, mini stocks, I mean, micros, legends, asphalt. The only car that's not racing down there in February is the 305 sprint car.
That's why we need to get it down there, Chaz. I think it's a great thing we did tonight. I'm glad we did. It's obviously a good thing. Maybe we can get something going on again.
Well, I mean, Veilhauer Speed Shop, I think, can help us. Oh, Jeff By over there. Also talking with some people from Carolina to maybe make something happen. But the guy with the car owner with your crew, he was all looking forward to Volusia. That's what he wants, Volusia.
Yeah, and Kerm actually just said this past weekend, he said, "Are you guys getting ready for Florida?" So he would be pumped up to send us off there. I mean,
so that's really that's the goal. That's what we're aiming for.
That is what we're aiming for, and it might be an option again here by the sounds of things.
I mean, I got a logo. I've messaged some people. I just don't get messaged back.
I know you did say that. I know we've been chatting a good bit throughout the season. Who else can you get a hold of?
Right.
Who's Baylog now?
I don't know if that's going to help. I don't think that's going to help, but we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, I guess we can let you go here. Is there anything you want to throw a shout out for or give a hey?
I'd just like to give everyone a shout out that helps out and been there for me. That I can throw off my head real quick here at you. I'd like to thank my dad first and foremost for always putting his money out there for me growing up and seat time, because that's what's taking me back to now, go-kart days and smooth and, where you learn everything. But him, my brother, Alan, I got to thank Roger and Kerm, obviously the most, for giving me the opportunity like this in the sprint car and just keep me funded. They love doing it and they're good at what they do.
So a few
Thank.
more questions down. Oh wait, sorry.
Yeah.
You're still
Yeah.
thanking the Lord, right? God's next, hopefully.
Yeah. Dunk, you knew Dunk was coming for getting his hands dirty. We finally got him helping out now. Him, Willie, Roger, he just so good at what he does.
Right.
And Kerm. But what we got some more questions?
Yeah. Somebody wants to know how fast you go at the Grove in a 305. Is the Grove faster than Port?
Okay. The Grove is super fast. Oh my God. But I think it makes it feel faster because of such the tight turns.
Right. 3 is really sharp and skinny.
So I'm thinking Sealands Grove feels a little faster to me than Port, but I think the average at Port and them is like 98. I couldn't tell you Williams Grove. I know the first night I was there it broke, and second night they rained out, I believe, that I was there this year.
Really?
So yeah, I'm not too positive. But the Grove
So
is
around
super
100 average, 115, 20 total. Top speed. I mean, if the 410s are running 140, 150 at the Grove and stuff, I mean, you got to be running 110 or 120.
I guess, yeah, and even at Portland, because that's the average, 98 to 92, right, whatever it gets to when it's slick. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would say.
I just hammer down,
Well, of course. Well, all right.
Of course.
I guess we'll let you go here, Zach. Thanks for calling in.
All right, Chaz. Yeah, thank you, bud.
Hey, stay tuned because we're about to talk some shit. We got a caller ready to call in. He's ready. Broke Joe is coming.
Oh, God, I got to catch. I'll tune in for this, bud.
All right.
Good talking with you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And my, ladies and gentlemen. We can't get it ready. Are y'all wanting this to happen? I mean, it's about to happen, guys. Hold on, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my God. I can't believe it's happening. I'm dialing the number in right now. Oh my God. Oh my. Hello, is this Broke Joe on the phone?
This is not Broke Joe.
Oh, it's not Broke Joe. Come on.
Where the hell is he?
Where is he? Where is Broke Joe? He's on the screen, but it don't sound like him.
Where in the hell is he?
He's hiding in his little room that they keep talking about.
Is he putting stickers on little rubber boxes or what?
I don't know. Oh, somebody just said it's Spike. Did you catch my opener on my response to the Broke Joeys?
What's that? I don't know what you mean.
Oh, I was just trying to tell him, like, I don't care if, Broke Joe comes on here, talks about if anything I say is wrong or you don't agree, come on and tell me. And we'll have our response and blah, 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 blah. So he sends me this trophy cup thing, thinking I'm just going to read a script like I'm some puppet master supporting the Broke Joe banners. And since I saw some stuff that I don't agree with him, all of a sudden, he don't want somebody to come out and say something differently than him. He don't want somebody to disagree and talk differently than him. Apparently, if you don't walk the same line as him, you're a target. He's targeting you.
Well, why didn't he come on and explain it?
I don't know. He don't want to. We saw the tweets today. We saw him coming after me for, I guess you would call the truth.
Well, I think that if I'm gonna supply you some video evidence and I need to alliterate where my point is on it, that's my own fault for not just giving you the reins and interpreting it how you do.
Well, I think that my bigger issue with it is that I'm not supposed to just. I didn't think that me and Joe were associates or knew each other because I just said what he told me to say, or that I'm supposed to say everything that he wants me to say. Like I didn't know that was what was happening. Because what I said wasn't that far off. I just thought he was really wrong on that gating deal. And this is the response. I don't get it.
Well, it's a really good time in history because think about it. Iowa football had a garbage call by the referee saying that the kid did a fair catch when he didn't.
True.
The NFL is admitting that their referees are garbage.
This is true.
So how much better is it that we can say, hey, on a Monday, let's dissect some of the calls of the weekend. Let's see if there's some room for error in some of these tracks. Are these officials really up to snuff? Are they just old bastard men that can't see? Are the cars too fast? Is it a situation where, hey, when they're going that fast, I'm just calling it like I see it, I can't tell. We're doing it, the slowest of slow motion, right? These guys are seeing it live. It's hard for them to pick it up, perhaps, young or old. Or three, are these guys just not giving a shit? Or is it favoritism? I don't know. But that's the beauty of the Monday morning where we can dissect it. But I can see where he's coming from if they said there's no forgiveness. If anyone jumps to start, you're moving back.
Okay.
Well, in my opinion, yeah. If I'm not starting it, if I'm following the leader, I'm gonna hold back so that he gets penalized.
Right, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. It looked like it was the inside drivers' faults that were causing the outside drivers to jump.
Right.
Okay, and then his point was, well, they're favoring the cartel because apparently they penalized the 2 car. The other one, I was wrong originally. But then the driver of the 2 car is Gage Garcia, who is related to the Tarletons, who's a part of the elite. So that's what even if that was called back, you're trying to prove to me that he was trying. If you go read, and I read the whole deal to the end, he was trying to get people to boycott the Trophy Cup next year because of this stuff. That's what he was aiming for. Well, he wants to touch
the weight penalty.
Well, no, he was trying to say due to everything he was showing, the inconsistent calls, the way, all of it. He was trying to say because of all of these fallacies of the CA elite, we need to boycott the race next year. Where it's like the one point where you're trying to get the CA elite put on blast was with this jump to start situation, and it benefited and didn't benefit 2 members of the cartel elite. So I don't know where the favoritism lies.
I don't think that jump start was that big of a deal. I think it's just we're lining up, and hey, if I can get you penalized, it's not going to be as huge of an impact as one would think. Obviously, it can be, but it's 1 row. But I think it's just it's a little bit of dirty pool competitive edge at times. You're pulling shit and it's fun, right? I think that's cool. Like if drivers pull that strategy stunt,
Right, and that's what it was about pulling a strategy, trying to get it going. But what about this reaction from Broke Joe to begin with? Do you have any comments on this?
Well, I don't know what people have seen or what you're referencing exactly. So,
okay, that's true. We don't know everything. That is true. Yeah, I don't know. He said play the Garcia video to the end today when he was bitching.
I'm curious what the full video is. Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, you didn't see any of this video with the jump starts?
Oh, no, I watched it. That you went through very detailed. I watched it a few times, and the only thing I could think of is either on the inside, it seemed like the if they just were getting, it seemed like maybe it was just soft, like they just weren't getting a good start there or something.
Well, it looked like they were hitting
but it
the
also
brakes,
just
too.
the playing cushion.
It looked like they were playing the game. They were trying to get the guy to jump, or dictate the start. Both scenarios, the guys were just slamming the brakes before the start even took off. I mean, these inside guys are just killing their cars.
It's different where I'm from, and obviously I'm basing it on IRA series, but I've seen it where they've had it where the guy in second has kind of slowed up and mashed the second, third, fourth rows into him.
Right.
And they've called it off. And then when they're pacing back around, the flag man is giving him the point, saying, "Listen, get your shit together, because if you can't keep up the speed, you're moving back." Not the guy leading, not the guy that's jumping, so to speak, quote unquote jumping. The guy that's holding back to make it look like a jump. They're telling him, "Dude, you got to figure it out."
Right. Right, and I just don't see
and,
in this
and
scenario
I've seen guys get put back for that.
Yeah, I see those guys needing to get that punishment, but I don't see he was trying to point out and say Kading was, jumping the start or something, and he should have been put back. Like, that's when it became more apparent that Joe is just becoming more biased than ever. I try to remove bias. Like, if I think somebody ran over Kyle Larson, or if this was Kyle Larson that is in the 69 car, I would be saying the exact same things no matter how I personally think about the guy. And Larson, I don't even know if that's a good name. There's some other people. Let's say it's a guy I don't like personally. Like, I would still say, that he didn't do anything wrong. But I think that's where Joe made the mistake here, is his personal vendettas against these people are overriding his judgment. That's where I was drawing the line.
And I mean, honestly, if we're gonna say that's a jump start, that's a pretty minuscule jump start. Granted, the one time the guy on the inside kind of piled everyone up, so that was kind of crap. But
right, you could see Kading getting run into by Golubic. I mean, Golubic's running him over.
Right, no, that's a bit much, right? But in general, if the guy that's leading them to just jumps a little, I mean, I don't think that's the end all be all, that's a big conspiracy of sorts. I mean, I've been to Knoxville, and I have seen, and I think Brian Brown's a great race car driver, so I'm not discrediting him in any way. But I've seen him when it's single file restart. I mean, he's damn near in turn 3 full throttle, and everybody else is still just pacing, and they just let it go.
Because that's a little more blatant, you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where it's like, oh my God, you know what? That's not even a jump. He's gone. Like he's gone, and nobody's moving.
Well, and that's
stuff like that.
That's what I told Joe on the phone. I said, you think California's bad, but it's almost like this racing world in comparison to the real world. It's kind of a microcosm of what's going on everywhere else. Like, if you took Joe's mentality to Houston and Knoxville and stuff, like, I think he could get killed if he was to, talk about Brian. If you had a guy at Knoxville every week calling out all the fallacies and biased calls, I mean, how long is that guy gonna survive?
Sure.
I mean, or if you went to PA and started pointing out every little thing, that there's tons of it. There's tons of these elite segment people.
Oh, sure. And I do say that there are some things that he pointed out on those videos that is pretty foul that, in the past year, the past week or two, those videos he's shown there, definitely.
Right. There's nothing to disagree.
Stuff.
There's nothing to disagree in there with. And that's why I see this so, and like I told him in a text, hypocritical. Hypocrisy runs the world. Because he sits there and he says, if you disagree with me, just say something. I'm not going to flip out on you. I just want to say what you got to say. And we get to one thing that I don't agree with him on. And he's done. He's running away crying.
Well, it's one of those things where if I'm watching a football game and then the refs are making terrible calls the whole game, and then all of a sudden there's a call that's really not a bad call, but it's in my mind that I think these refs are shit. I'm going to flip out, oh my God, look at that terrible call too, and you might say, well, dude, that one wasn't that bad. I get it. The other 5 calls throughout this game have been garbage, but that one was not bad.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, fuck you, Chaz. Fuck away from
That's basically what he did. Yes. And, okay, so imagine if every time those bad calls were made, you stood up and yelled the bad call to the crowd around you and said, if I'm wrong, tell me. If I'm wrong, tell me. Like he screamed that to the world, and then someone finally says it. And you can't be told?
Yeah, because there's still going to be some that it's a human sport, and there's going to be the human eye. Like I said, either the guys they might be older, they might have bad vantage points, the cars are going fast. They might have been up till 3 a.m. working the track and then up again at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? These guys are working their ass off, some of these crews. You never know.
Right. Well, and
there's
then
many issues with fatigue, so it's a human element. And if that's the worst thing, that a guy gets a little bit of a jump, I don't think that's the end of the world.
Well, and then he sent these text messages that were on Twitter, and he said, let's see, the Chaz get personal. Let's see you talk about your net worth. This is him saying this to me. How you're now living off your girlfriend. How your whole life is based on people giving you money and isn't working. Why would I waste another call on you? Now, there's other things that lead on in here. I showed you, I believe, Spike, the other things he said. Why is he going this low if all it is he don't agree with me? Is it just this is another level of truth? Is this another level of truth, or?
I don't think it should have escalated to that point just based on, like I said, I'll agree there was 5 videos there where I was like, God dang, like,
right.
California is pretty screwed up. Like, their racing series is jacked, you know? And the jump start ones, I was like, I don't know. That's a little iffy. I'm not going to throw that into the mix with the other 5 or 10 or whatever it was, right?
Right. But I think this is why I think some people call Joe, and they say it, a piece of shit or something, or saying what he don't know. The one, if you don't agree with him, he has talked about, Shane Golovic hooking up with Matt Wood's daughter for the money and stuff like that. And obviously prior to me being in this relationship I'm in, I used to side with, those types of ways. But at the end of the day, I got in this relationship. It's a very similar deal. Although I've learned in my experience that it ain't just money getting thrown out to everybody in the family. That's for sure. But what I mean by that is, like, I've got to see how it can happen in many different ways. Like I said to begin the show, you could come in here, if you look at everything with the worst intentions, and intent is everything, I think, you could say that, poor Chaz was running around doing music videos and doing this dirt deal and looked up all the rich owners' daughters that are single and started pursuing them or something. You could say that and say that's what I was doing, but I know for a fact, in reality, that's not what happened. I know that I was pursued and I didn't even know who the hell I was talking to at first. So it's like, I just think when you look at everything through the worst intentions, that's where you can get to saying something like this when somebody doesn't agree or align with you in a way. And I also think that this plays a factor into personal mental health. I think it shows an issue with maybe something that's wrong with you you always have to see things with the worst intentions. Is that the only way you can operate is through the worst intentions?
Oh, I get it.
You know,
And I'll bash sprint cars all day long, but if there's a damn good race, I'm gonna be like, oh, that was freaking awesome, you know.
right?
And what I bash is the Outlaws because it is a traveling T-shirt parade because it's boring as shit. So like,
Okay, we'll get
But
off this Joe shit. Then what did you think about this Ricky Thornton Jr. deal? Losing the championship. You was gonna go? Did you go? No. I mean, you were
No,
calling me
the
a
weather-
bitch for going to Devil's Bow, but we didn't rain out.
well, I don't care where you went. I mean, I just give you shit because it's fun.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
cry.
I was trying to give Joe shit. I said, Joe, these rich elite are not gonna come on here, and give another perspective. And this is all. I'll be honest with you. And I'll just throw the shit out here right now. I really, truly disagreed with Joe. And I really, truly kind of took some shots at Joe because I do see a lot of the other side of the arguments in some of these things. I see the even the people siding with the Golubic stuff. I see the other side of the coin where sometimes people call him a crybaby or whatever. And I was prepared to sit here and provide an argument for the other side, because I feel like when we're sitting on here for 2 hours and me and Joe are just agreeing all day long on hating people, basically, well, not hating people, but opinions. If all of our opinions just align, it becomes boring, you know. And I was thinking in myself, let's disagree with Joe, and then we can start disagreeing on different topics. Take a little shot here and there. In future episodes. That way it isn't so just one-sided. Add some balance to the situation. And that was kind of my hope here for that to happen, and it didn't. You know, I think we just didn't have any balance as far as perspective of a situation.
Yeah, I understand. And I don't know if it was just a thing where he wanted you to show that video and portray it in a certain light, and that was the only option.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Once he kind of showed himself to be that way, I mean, I'm not going to be somebody's bitch. I don't care how much money you give me. That's why I know I'm in a sincere relationship, because ask her. I don't give a damn what money or life you could provide me. If you're going to try to force and bully me in my content, tell me what to do, and not have an opinion of my own, it ain't going to work.
Well, I like it when he comes on because he starts it off with a question. He'll say, you know, for example, are all the young kids in California reckless and endangering others, right? And then he'll go through, you know, example after example after example, and then all of a sudden he'll say, well, how about this scenario? And, well, who is that driving that car? Well, it's actually a veteran. Oh, dang. Well, how about this scenario? That kid paralyzed the other kid. He should be banned for life, right?
Well, I agree.
Well, actually, it's an outlaw champion now. You know, so it's
Right.
like, I love that. That
was awesome. That was awesome.
Critical thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. But at the same time, if he wants to do some of this stuff, you know, I'm not just, this isn't like he paid me and rented the Chaz channel for 45 minutes to be able to perform his art and reach people that he couldn't without me. You know, I mean, if you come on here and you show me stuff and talk about stuff, it's going to be a talk about stuff, and I ain't necessarily chained to agree with you. You know?
Right, and then I guess I felt like the jump start wasn't even that big of a crusade.
Me either.
I mean, that wasn't.
Me either, but his feelings are that hurt. He's crying or something. I don't know.
Well, what else did you piss him off about?
I don't know. I guess I the only thing or comment I think he could take personally was me saying maybe the CA Elite are right. You know, he's just a crybaby, and he might have took that to heart. I guess that did it. That's all I can think.
But that's critical thinking.
Right?
Right?
I guess.
We're presenting two sides of the story here.
That's what I thought I was doing. But I'm not.
Yeah,
apparently.
I wouldn't have took it personally, but I'm also the type that doesn't give a shit. Like, someone can say the worst thing, and I don't care.
Well, and he also hates that Outback Andy, you know.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I mentioned that to you. I said, I think that that you having that Outback Andy on somehow, that was pretty triggering, because I don't know what the deal is with that.
Did he potentially feel jealous? Is it becoming to that level? You know, where...
Well, I don't know nothing about Outback Andy, so is
Well, no, I
he?
mean, he's from California, but what I mean is, was Joe mad that I had another person on my show? Was he that kind of narcissistic possessiveness?
Well, they must have some history then.
I don't know. I know that Outback Andy didn't agree with him, but I thought that's America. That's what Joe is all about. Difference of opinion. This is the hypocrisy part I'm talking about.
Well, and even if he disagreed or not, I thought the Outback Andy had some good insight as far as what they go through in Australia to become a race car driver and graduate to the next level and things like that. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I thought so. What do you think about the licensing? I think I made some good points. Bill Gates can't just fly a fucking plane.
Well, I think that at once upon a time there probably was a vetting process. It wasn't a license of sorts, but there was no way in hell that you were going to get into a high-powered race car
unless you were winning in a lower-powered one, you know.
Yeah, and then I honestly think, and I'm speaking out of turn here because I probably wasn't even alive, or I was just a kid, but I would imagine that even if a guy did start in a lower division and then somehow got an opportunity, whatever, the driver that he's buddies with is sick or something, and he's like, well, I'll just hop in, that I would imagine that others at the track would have been like, hell no, you are not. We are not racing if he's going out there. He has no experience in this.
Right.
He's running, 305s, and now he's going to run a 410 because his buddy ain't here. Oh, hell no.
Right.
I would think that there'd have been at least some kind of, we'll call it a mafia, if you want to call it, or a brotherhood that would stand up and say, no, that ain't happening.
Right. Right.
Well, and let's look at the rich kid examples. You had a young guy that they interviewed him at Eldora a few years ago, and he said, he's like, yeah, it's just my dream to race here. I don't have a lot of experience, but this is my dream. And then even the announcer was like, that's his dream, ladies and gentlemen, the race here. Wow. And the kid goes out on the time trials and fucking runs it up into the wall. Flips the fucker out of control.
Is that
I'm like,
funny?
what in the hell is going on?
Is that funny, Spike?
Well, I just thought, I guess I'm going to roll in with a big semi-truck someday and get me a little 410, and I guess I'll go out driving too.
I mean, that seems to be the requirement. That's all you need to really do. Right?
Well, and then the other example is 2 years ago at Chili Bowl. And, hey, God bless Rudine, he's got a ministry of sorts, an awareness thing about addiction, and that's wonderful that he does that. And he had a multi-car midget team at Chili Bowl. And he decided he's going to race a midget in the Chili Bowl.
Really?
Now, you'd know better than I would, but I don't think he's really raced much, has he?
I don't think so.
Right. He's the owner guy with the long ponytail guy, right?
You talk about Rudine.
Yeah. I can't think of his first name, but yeah. Okay. First lap of this heat race. I mean, he just sends it like a fucking kamikaze pilot and just flipping down the front stretch into the damn wall.
You make it sound so bad, Spike.
It was. I mean, dude,
Yo.
go and find the footage of that and deep dive that someday and go, holy shit. Like, holy shit.
Why is
I
that
hope his
legal?
wife had
Why is that legal?
Right. Well, and I hope his wife would up the freaking insurance policy when she found out he was going to be racing that weekend. Oh, my God. I mean,
Like, if you were lined up next to him in the heat race, are you going out?
well, right. So once upon a time, I think there would have been a vetting process, and they would have said, yeah, no, we ain't racing the night if that, whoever, or they would have, or there'd have been some kind of a, well, who the hell are you? Where have you raced? Who's the track promoter? Who do you know that we would know? If you're just rolling in from out of state, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Back pre-internet. You know what I'm saying? There probably would have been some kind of a thing that they would have vetted a guy once upon a time.
Well, and I still say that that's what's killed racing. I really never thought of the manufacturer angle. But that's very, very true. These people who milk daddy's money are the ones telling them that, oh, he just needs another year. Oh, he just needs some experience. Oh, we just need him to get these shocks. Oh, no, try this chassis. Those are the ones enabling them to make these potential car owners for good drivers, stay having their kid in the car. Because, let's just say a Torgerson. Let's say he don't have the talent. A guy like his dad could afford to have race cars and put really good drivers in them.
Right.
I mean, and at the end of the day, the vetting process used to be, it's not that you run fifth in micros for a couple years or you win when there's 6 cars there. No, until you win in micros, you don't move up. You don't, just because you're running fifth in 360s don't mean you should race 410s. You got to be able to win in a lower division to move up. And there's a lot of winners in those lower divisions, like a Jake Buback and other guys who aren't getting the opportunity to move up because this vetting process isn't happening anymore.
Well, you know who has the best vetting process?
Porn.
The Knoxville Raceway.
Oh, God. How?
Well, think about it. There were guys I talked to that were 360 drivers, and I said, are you gonna run a 410 next year or whatever? Whenever I was talking to them, and they'd say, well, we might run once or twice. There's a guy we might fill in for, but we haven't saved enough money yet for an engine. And these guys weren't last place in the 360 races. I mean, they were top 3 in points, some of them, So I think Knoxville has a good vetting process as far as you start in your 305s and then your 360 and then 410s. I like that.
Well, yeah, but if
it
you don't
all
have
is
the
also
money,
based
it's
on
all
money.
it's all the money. It's not like Chase Randall came to Knoxville and started in the pro sprints.
No, I get what you're saying, but I also think that if some guy is just garbage in 360s, he's probably not going to move to the 410s just because of pure judgment.
Well, you look at a McKenna Hasse, if you want to mention Knoxville, it's not like she set the 360 world on fire, and that's why she went to 410s.
Right.
I mean, that was an average 360 driver.
I will say in her defense, not that you were discrediting her, but I will say in defense of her, amongst one of maybe 3 410 females in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
There's her Harley White and
Lady Lightning.
Paige, right? Yeah.
Well, and then there's a few on the West Coast. that 87. I forgot her name. She runs it.
Before the blonde that she does 410 or is she 360?
No, she does both. I believe she
Oh,
does
okay,
both.
that's cool.
The
Yeah,
Burko
okay, so
car.
there's half dozen we'll call it just for
Right. Ashlyn Rodriguez. There it is.
Okay, but what I like about McKenna Haase is that she don't go out there and fuck shit up.
Spike, do we have to play the video from Wilmot?
What?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Why? What'd she do?
I mean, it was probably the worst kind of wreck I've seen. It looked very similar to Torgerson. I believe it was.
Well, I'm just saying. No, everyone's made mistakes. Even our friend David Gravel.
Oh well, that's true. That was the point Joe was making. I think it was a good point.
I'm just saying at this point in her career, I'm not, obviously someone could deep dive into anybody's past, right? And say, well, one time, or two times or whatever, right? Back 10 years ago. I'm just saying at this point in her career, she's very poised as a driver and, she's not out front by any means, but she at least is being consistent and protecting her equipment and protecting others. I don't think that she's reckless.
Well, no, she's not most of the time. But you're saying that she's properly went through some type of vetting then?
Well, I think that at certain points when it's just like NASCAR at some point when the 410 divisions, for some, in my humble opinion, she's a marketable entity, and she obviously is keeping her equipment intact. She's got some big sponsorships. She's good with the fans. She has a great following. And the fans don't really care if she wins or loses. They just love it that a girl is out there that they know, right? Like they get pictures with her and she autographs and she's kind to them. So she's a great PR opportunity. So I think
and she was an American Ninja Warrior, right?
Right. So it's one of those things where she's, I guess, the closest to like the Danica in NASCAR at the time, where it was like, well, Danica didn't go to NASCAR because she was going to dominate. It was because GoDaddy said, we're going to drop millions so that she can be in this series because it's a way bigger deal than IndyCar.
And that's what you're saying.
Well, but Danica's a bitch, so that's the difference, right? And she's horrible with people. So, like, but the flip side is, McKenna Haase, if you ever look, I mean, she's got a long line of people as long as Tanner Holmes, and she's very kind and humble, and she's not slutty, and that's a good thing, you know what I mean? So, and she's got Hy-Vee, which is a huge grocery store chain that's all throughout the Midwest.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. That's what you want.
We do need more corporate, but don't you think that that's also, if we're going to get back to the competitive nature of the sport, isn't that somewhat sexist to reward somebody? Because what actual results has meritly earned those things?
Well, she's won, she's won races at
yeah,
Knoxville.
But there's others that win more. They're just not a female. Isn't that sexist?
No, because if I'm a young driver coming up and I want to
you understand you can still be racist to white people, right?
It's not sexist because you know why? If there was a young man that was kind to the public and took pictures and signed autographs and smiled and was a wonderful human, I bet you that he would get an opportunity. Oh, wait, there is. His name's Tanner Holmes.
That's a good one. I honestly like the American Ninja Warrior deal, personally. I think that is the biggest accomplishment that I've seen her do, that you would think would bring eyes.
Well, and I will go out on a limb here, and you can disagree, and everyone else can, tar and feather me and kick my ass at the races. But I think that even if Rico Abreu was an average at best driver, he still would have a huge fan following.
And you think that's just because of physical appearance or what?
Because he's good with the fans, and he's unique. He's a unique human being. Like, he's a very friendly human being that'll take pictures. He knows how to sell himself well, and that's what it's all about.
Now, do you think if he had the attitude of like a Joe, he would go anywhere?
Which Joe?
Broke Joe.
Oh, well, if Rico was broke Joe?
Like attitude-wise. Always negative.
No, because then he'd be like every other sprint car driver on the tours these days. They're all just emo, negative, they're weirdos. Like, they're just...
Who's the weirdest one to you? That's a hard one, huh? That's like picking which puppy do you want, and it's all pugs.
I don't think none of them is just like, they're just all awkward.
Someone said David Gravel.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Gravel was a little weird because I dropped a shit ton of money in his chats those times to get him to read funny questions. Then when I met him, he was like, "Oh, hi, thanks."
Wow.
And then like ran away. It's just like, well, dude, I kind of like paid your fucking utility bill probably for the month, you asshole.
Well, and I feel
and
like I've done that.
Him and Kyle were rolling. They were rolling that night. It was like in January or something. Like, it was freaking
rolling in the dough. That's when Kyle called me a good driver.
Who would win in a fight? Like, who would win in a fight if it was Kyle and Caitlin against, I was dreaming up all these like dream fights, and I mean, there's just all this silliness, and they're laughing and just being, they're having a gay old time.
A gay old time?
Yeah, well, that's when I exposed that you were on Grindr too.
That is not what happened. Not what happened at all. So, question: What do you think about High Limit and All Stars now? They're coming to take the outlaw throne. Spike.
It doesn't mean shit.
What do you mean it doesn't mean shit?
Because the only reason the High Limit Series draws on a Tuesday night is because Kyle is racing.
But why can't it survive just the All-Stars being the High Limit deal now, and it be the same thing with the High Limit races incorporated?
That's fine, but it's still going to be the same All-Star Series where they get paid $6,000 for a feature.
I don't think so. I think it's going to go to a 10 minimum.
Who's paying that bill?
Flow Racing and Kyle Larson's money people. You don't understand.
Well, I mean,
the
if that's
money
the
that
case,
Kyle Larson knows, think about how much money Kyle Larson knows. Think about it. That's a lot of fucking money that people need to get rid of. IRS tax season. With all these people. They just throw money out the window.
But is that a value to... my theory is the All-Stars are only going to draw so much at some of these tracks, right? It's not like World of Outlaws where it's going to be asses to elbows,
I don't know.
So, well, but that's what I'm saying is these investors that are going to be investing in this All-Star version, which is, going to be a Friday, Saturday night, and Kyle ain't going to be able to be at all of them, obviously.
But if you want to help the Kyle Larson train take over the Outlaws, hey, Roger Penske, just sponsor our series for $5 million. You won't miss it out of those billions you have, and that's gonna make it a $20,000 to win minimum. Do it for the love and support of Kyle. Make it a sponsorship. It ain't an investment. We're just trying to clear some of that money out before the end of the year.
Well, and then my question is, is there going to be toll money every night? And is there going to be, top 10 or 12 in points bonuses like the Outlaws do and things like that?
All I hear is a DM from Kyle to Rick Hendrick and HendrickCars.com. Yep. More than the Outlaws. That's all it takes. This is what I was trying to tell the Outlaws last year in being nice, because Kyle has so many connections to money that is easily flowable. You don't want to go up against that. The Illuminati. Yes, somebody said it in the comment section. The Illuminati. You're going up against the Illuminati. Yes.
I understand what you're getting at, but the point of the matter is there's a lot more to it than that. Where's the tour? Is the tour going to go from sea to shining sea?
It'll go wherever the money wants them to go.
But who's going to fund the drivers to go from sea to shining sea?
They're going to pay them. You know that's what happens in proper operating organizations, right? The NASCAR organizations, the NASCAR organizations, the Monster Jam, AMA Supercross, the off-road trucks. The series pays these guys to travel and to tow all these cars. They've turned it into a show. It's a show.
Yeah, but you need full timers, right? So,
right. What's wrong with that?
How many outlaw full timers? How many outlaw full timers were there this year?
The phrase outlaw full timers can be a thing of the past in less than 24 months if they spend their money right and market the drivers who sign up for high limit correctly.
Well, this is a good lesson, though. I'm trying to explain. I'm being broke Joe right now. We're deep diving. So there's 12/13 full-time outlaw drivers this season, depending on what you classify Bill Rose as. Okay? And there's 7 full-time all-star drivers.
Okay.
Okay? So if Kyle says, here's the deal. Okay, let's say I'm a guy that bounces around doing the 410s, right? But I work a regular job, and I take off sometimes so I can go do some of these longer stretches, this and that. But what is it going to take? Okay, obviously, I'm going to need a bigger hauler because I'm going to have to go on tour now. I'm going to have to hire a full-time crew chief, a full-time crew member. This is a lot of an undertaking that suddenly has to be invested in for me to go on this full-time tour suddenly.
Okay.
So let's just say the All-Stars go from 7 full-timers to now 14 full-timers. Big frickin' deal.
Okay.
That don't mean shit.
Here's what I mean. Whoever's on the high limit bandwagon at 14 next year, to you and the dirt racing world, they ain't David Gravel. They ain't Donnie Schatz. They ain't Logan Schuchart. They ain't Carson Macedo. To you, 300-ish thousand people in the dirt sprint car world, I can instantly, in a month or two, have those 14 drivers mean something in the real world. And in the real world, they don't even know who the fuck Sheldon Hodden, what is a Hodden child? Donnie Schatz like glass shots? Carson Mosquito or Macedo? Gravel? I thought y'all race on dirt. David Gravel races on dirt? What? This is what the real world thinks. So when I get these 12 or 13 or 14 drivers in with the high limit series, at the Daytona 500 as Kyle Larson, I'm going to have those 12 or 14 guys come to the Daytona 500 to hang out with the race team in Hendrick Motorsports all weekend. We're going to get them some TV time and introduce them to the people on Fox. These are the drivers of the high limit sprint car series. Watch them this year on Flow Racing or whatever. Maybe make a partnership with Fox, because we just saw how Flow Racing has a partnership with FS1 through the Dirt series that was produced around Kyle Larson, that was originally directed and made by Rigsby and the Flow Racing department. So I'm going to bring these guys that aren't shots, aren't gravel, aren't nobodies, and I'm going to put them in front of the damn world instantly. And I'm going to continue to promote those guys, and I'm going to make them bigger than the World of Outlaws that no one knows even fucking exists outside this little itty-bitty niche known as World of Outlaws sprint car racing. And you're saying it'll never happen when it is that fucking easy. It's that easy. It's that easy. Instantly, they're bigger than everyone you know in dirt.
Kyle needs to get a TV deal. That's all he's got to do.
The smart way is just like the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight this week. You don't have to be on TV, but you have to work with TV. TV is the advertisement billboard for the privateered streaming services of today's society. So you advertise on TV and you sell the stream. That's how it operates. That's how UFC
so
does
that's
it.
Where
that's
you got to get them on free television, over-the-air television or cable.
You get them on there, right? The people themselves. You promote you.
Nobody cares about the people.
The way you create a series that people want to watch is you have to create stars that they want to see perform. That's just marketing 101. So if you can make the 12 or 14 drivers of the high limit committed people big names, marquee names, stars, people will want to tune in to watch them. It's the same thing that UFC did with the Tough series. You know, they made all their stars that carried their entire industry for 10 or 15 years based on a TV show that sold the pay-per-views.
All right, so then let me ask you this. What sells the drivers?
Relevance. Attractiveness.
Is it,
I don't
is it
name it.
Is it David Gravel in a polo shirt, standing on a TV show, and then they're saying, hi, I'm a race car driver for Kyle Larson's High Limit Series? Or is it the number 2 Houston's car going out there doing some badass maneuvers on the track, and people are like, what the fuck is this? This is wild.
Right. Well, you can have a little bit of an intro video. Well, you would do it. You would bump into the. You'd come from a commercial break and you would play a bump. I know people who ain't been in production like I have don't know what that is, but a bump is when you come back from commercial, you open up with some kind of storyline based deal. You show some badass sliders, kickers, this and that, and then you fade right off of that into the 14 drivers there, and you talk to them, give them a little shout out. You let one of them who's good at talking speak up. A Brian Brown, somebody, a Brent Martin, somebody who's good at fluently speaking and being on camera, and you introduce it like that, and bam, it's over. Brad Sweet's, it's over. All of a sudden, the entire world that we live in views the High Limit Sprint Car Series and their drivers as the drivers of the biggest, baddest ass sprint car series they know of, because they don't even know what the Outlaws are.
You're right, and that's where you have to create awareness to the public, which is through a television show that convinces them that this is something they must see.
Right. And when they put an advertisement for WWE or NASCAR coming to town on a billboard, they don't put a big giant logo of WWE. They don't put a big giant logo of NASCAR. Yes, it's on the billboard, but the main focus on all these billboards are the stars that they're expecting people to pay to watch. A damn AT&T Stadium is empty with nobody there for AT&T Stadium. But if you put Taylor Swift in that bitch, it's filled, So the way you sell tickets to your branded event is through the stars that are performing under your brand. And it seems like the Outlaws have been more concerned with putting WWE on the billboard and forgetting to promote their drivers.
Well, and that's what Vince McMahon does with WWE. Because he does not want a star to transcend the WWE.
Right, and that's because I think it's the same reasons the World of Outlaws go that route, is because just like WWE learned in the Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold and Rock eras, and just like the World of Outlaws learned in the Kinzer Swindell era, who went out and started a rival series, when the stars got bigger than the brand, then the stars could leave and potentially damage the brand. And you had that example with Kinzer and Swindell. I think it was both of them that tried to do the USA situation. And I believe Stone Cold and the Hulk Hogan and all those guys have had issues with the WWE because they got so much bigger than the brand. They could move the whole wrestling entertainment because of their name. And you have that. See, I was warning the Outlaws of this in 2016 and 17 and 18 when they were sucking NASCAR drivers off to come to the race, including Kyle Larson. I said, the biggest problem with this sport, guys, is you're enabling one driver to be bigger than everyone else and potentially the sport itself. And they didn't care. Oh, they defended Larson's great for the sport. We need to work with NASCAR. And now look what you have. You have Kyle Larson coming out with the current Brad Sweet era driver or Kinzer era driver in Brad Sweet. Now you got the two guys who halfway have stardom, especially Larson, coming to destroy you.
But they don't have stardom outside of the niche. That's the problem.
And that's where I think Kyle Larson can help.
He needs to use the Indy 500 as the huge.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, he needs to rent. I don't care if it costs $1 million or more. Rent an eighth of a block near the Indy Speedway on Speedway weekend for the Indy 500. You know, down where all the offices are, right?
I'm contemplating on saying this. I'm saying this from just an idea of myself, but I have had a vision. You know, when you talk to Kyle on the phone, it's not like, you know, when he's talking, it's not like you actually have a phone. It's like you're having a vision and God is speaking to you. But I had a vision that there's going to be a high-limit sprint car series at the Turn 3 Indianapolis Motor Speedway dirt track during the Indy 500 festivities.
I agree. And even if they don't, and that's a great vision, and I did. So did Kyle appear to you? Is that what happened?
The burning bush was real, buddy. The burning bush. Ayahuasca.
The Messiah himself of sprint car racing. Grace your presence. This is a testimony like none other.
I mean, I watched Netflix where it was like the encounters with the aliens, and it said there was a shining light, and it just spoke to me. And it felt very, very similar. I don't think it was a phone call. I just think it was a vision. It was like I was in a dream and it spoke. You know, when you're in a dream and you wake up and it was like you heard what they were saying right before you woke up, and it was like they were right there in front of you, kind of deal. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
It happens to all of us, and that is technically us communicating with other dimensions, just for the record. Mediums and shit.
What did Kyle speak to you from the other dimension? What did he say?
He said that they're going to try to do a high-limit sprint car race in Turn 3 at Indianapolis during the Indy 500 festivity areas and times that week and stuff. Next year.
In 2024.
Yes.
I like it. I believe it.
And, like you said, perfect week to promote the series.
Well, and that's here's the facts. I followed F1 for probably 20 years.
Really? Schumacher age?
I hate it. It's the most boring shit I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it, but I'm a race fan, so I always followed it. I buy full season sets on DVD to watch. There's a guy online I found, so I studied the history of it to some degree. It just was gruesome for me to watch. It was exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my vibe. You know, it's not my thing.
Okay.
And I'm a race fan, right? So let me ask you this: I know of 3 people, husband and wives, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, who each have spent at least $10,000 or more each as a couple to go each time to multiple F1 races.
Okay.
Some it's been in Austin. Some of it was in, I think, Miami. One went over to Europe, for Christ's sakes. And they said, I know you're a race fan. Do you know Formula One? Have you heard of Formula One? I said, yeah, I've followed it since I was a kid. Oh, yeah. Me and the wife love it. We're dropping, $20,000 for VIP, the paddock and everything to go to Austin for the races.
Okay.
I said, wow. I said, when did you been a fan a long time or what? No, just since the Netflix series. So how in the hell do you get the American public of Green Bay, Wisconsin, 3 different couples to drop $10,000 or more and even go overseas for a racing series that I don't even find to be that great, but because Netflix dolled it up, it's pretty damn exciting and popular.
Right.
So the moral of the story is the whole sprint car world could be the most exciting shit on earth if they use that avenue to do so. Not Netflix per se, maybe Netflix, but I'm just saying you have to create awareness. You have to make it where people understand how big these cars are, how fast they are, what the whole process is, why it's dangerous, why it's hard to do, what the crews go through, what the drivers go through, the drama that ensues. That's how you hook them.
You think that would work?
It would, but I mean, you've got to drop millions on production.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, I love case studies, right? I love showing people. Because some people will be like, oh, you like these dirt races? What is that, like off-road trucks? No, it's ovals. Like a oval track with dirt. Oh, well, what are the cars like?
Right.
So I'll show them like footage of an outlaw race, right? And a lot of guys will go, are those small? Like they kind of look small. So to them, it looks like a go-kart with a wing on it.
Yeah, they don't get introduced
I said,
correctly.
No. I said, if you're standing next to one, I said, the wing is way the hell above your head. I said, it's actually up there, man. I said, you got to climb up on the thing. That's how high up it is.
Right.
I said, this is like 900 horsepower. I said, this is like as much horsepower as F1. This is a big deal. Oh, wow. I couldn't tell. And I've shown some girls World of All Out videos, and they go, is that remote control cars?
That's fucked up.
And it's not insulting the girls' intelligence. It's the fact that the footage that they're showing the public, the dirt vision or the flow, whatever it is, it makes these guys, they look like little RC cars cruising around in like a little dirt field.
Yeah, that's true.
So that doesn't appeal to nobody.
It don't. You're right.
So you got to have like some awesome camera angles, production, make people like the drivers, fall in love with them, so to speak, right? That's my guy. Oh man, I want him to win. Well, that's exactly what happened to F1. People, they became attached to a certain driver. That was their guy.
Yeah, that is true.
So, now on the flip side, I've shown. And I'm not knocking sprint cars. I'm just telling you my case study. I've shown people, men and women, the super late models, and they are like, holy fuck, those are badass.
Yeah.
So the footage of super late models definitely hooks people. They're like, this is damn cool.
Yeah,
Like they
supers
think
look
it's
like
wild.
regular
They
cars
call
to
it
them.
well, and they call it drifting, you know, because that's just like a civilian's terminology. But they're like, wow, look at that guy drift up the track in front of that guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it does go, and it's true. Like I think
And they
that
think that's so cool.
I've had that experience with regular world people. They do definitely like the super late model. Definitely attracts them more.
Right.
I mean, it
And
definitely does.
I've had the Tulsa shootout on all week at my shop, and guys will come in and watch it, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's crazy! Like, look at those little things go flying around." And then like a little kid will get out, and they think that's the funniest thing, that like a little kid is driving the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't really help the sport much in those scenarios.
Right.
I don't think people understand that.
But now, if I'm playing the Tulsa shootout, and then let's just say the guy turned away for a second and I flipped on an outlaw race, could he actually tell the difference? Maybe not.
The regular guy, not at all.
Right.
I don't
That's the
think
problem,
not
is
at
they
all.
just think, well, these are like the little kid go-karts with wings on them.
Yeah, they can say that.
So that's what I'm saying. It's all about awareness, you know. You when the Indian restaurant, right? You know, people from India, right? When they come
Right.
to a town and they open the India Babar, right? These restaurants where it's all Indian food.
Okay.
Do you think that they came to town first and said, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen of whatever town, what is the need for an Indian restaurant in your town?" And the people are going to go, "No, we have no need for that. We don't know anything about Indian food. Why the hell would we want it?"
Right.
But instead, they open their restaurant and people try it and they go, "Fuck, I love Indian food. I want it all the time. It's great."
Yeah, this is true.
That's what you got to do, is you got to create the need.
And we're not focused on those type of things. I've been saying that forever.
Well, that's why it's going to die.
I've been saying that forever. They just keep doing the same old things and it never works out.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I hope that Kyle does it and says, "You know what, I'm gonna get high limits on ESPN, or I'm gonna get, whatever it may be, like Tony did with his SRX." That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I would like a SRX for dirt. I mean, I thought about doing that prior to SRX even happening, and when he had it announced like 6 months after, I was talking to buddies about. I had the idea we should take a sprint car and like a big block modified chassis, kind of mix it to where they're a little safer, more cockpit room, put a wing on it, maybe a different gas tank, make it look like a super modified, maybe even put like 4-link suspension on it, have like this crazy and a good motor like the LS motor Shots does, not a big horsepower deal, but something in the middle that lasts long so the cars last. And making them kind of even, and then putting the best drivers in dirt in the cars and running them on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. Like I was saying this shit 3 years ago. And then right after it, SRX hits, and then midweek shows happen as well. So I was like telling the future on myself.
Do you remember when TNN, I think it was, the Nashville network, had it was like the stars of TNN, and it was basically country music stars and then a few other stars, and they raced Legends cars.
It was like a Soul Train, but white people.
Yeah, and it was like Brooks and Dunn raced Legends cars.
Really?
Oh, it was outstanding. I mean, it'd be like, there's Ronnie Dunn. And,
it sounds fucking awesome.
And then they had like whoever the hell, I don't know, Aaron Tippin or all these country stars at the time. And then they had, a few of the, I don't know, I think they maybe had some of the announcers and stuff on there that raced in it too. And it was cool. I mean, they had the stars that the public tuned in. They were like, oh my God, like Brooks and Dunn and all these country stars are racing each other. This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like something anyone could kind of get into for sure. Yeah, that sounds badass. Who wouldn't want to get into that?
Oh, I mean, the people tuned in like mad. I mean, it had huge ratings, and it was just a publicity stunt, but it worked. But that was also when Outlaws were on TNN, and that's what sold. That's why Knoxville Nationals has, 10 gigantic grandstands, in my humble opinion.
You think so?
Well, because you could see reruns of the Knoxville Nationals constantly on TNN.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a satellite dish, old school backyard satellite dish when I was a kid. Dude, they had the World of Outlaws on TNN all the time.
Wow. And this was
it was
back in
great.
the day.
It was in the 90s, and that's what I said. That's the fan base. They're 50 to 70 plus years old right now.
Yeah, that's the truth too. That
because in the early 90s I'd have been like 12, right? So that means that a guy that was born in the 70s would have been in his 20s, and so that's 30 years ago. So he's in his 50s on up to a guy in his 80s,
Well, and you gotta do stuff like that, but you gotta do the evolved version way. Like, you don't do it with TV. You do it with mainstream marketed things. Like, if you can get Jake Paul in a race car, because he had joked about wanting to try NASCAR, like, and I tried to catch him, and kind of call out NASCAR and send him a few tweets and all that. What I mean is, like, these guys, they have to realize that if you can do anything along those lines, get a social, not just a social star, but somebody who's on a really big, if you can get freaking, Brock Purdy to a race, or a big time, or LeBron James to a race, or these are marketing schemes as well. If you can get a wrestling superstar, I don't know, I'm just naming things, Tyson Fury, get somebody real to a race. And even if they want a little money, it's going to be cheaper than TV ads, I'm assuming. And your impact to a new audience is going to be bigger than you ever could have got with a TV ad or something along those lines.
I don't think that a star showing up to an event matters unless they're like a Taylor Swift. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to our sport, fucking OBJ wore a Donnie Shot shirt, and we thought the world was going to be saved from wearing a Donnie Shot shirt.
Yeah, but that's also the fucking foolishness of the fan base as well.
I get that, but if
we
could have a guy actually come to a race, I think that would do big things.
It doesn't matter though, unless for some reason
Max Verstappen came to an outlaw race, you don't think that would matter?
No, because that's not news.
To the F1 people, it is.
It wouldn't matter, though, because, what the hell are they going to say? Like, race car driver Max Verstappen went to a local dirt track.
Here's what I would like to do. I would like to do... I honestly, and I've said this idea from the beginning, actually, one of my first videos. I want to do an event that I would name King of the Wheel. I would take 3 or 4 different division of local racing cars, factory stock, whatever, modified, limited, late model, 305, something that most people could drive. And I would take the locals that are good in that, and then take the best NASCAR drivers you could think and do like a Pro versus Joe's show where you take the best drivers, the NFL players that they so-called are, and you put them in our cars in a factory stock, modified versus Dallin Murdy, and you do a versus match on the track with these guys, and you call it King of the Wheel. The pros versus the Joes, right? That's all these weekly guys are. That would change the fucking sport instantly when people wake up and find out that there's better drivers down the street than they see on their TV, because that concept blows people's minds. Like, regular people can't understand that's real. They don't get how there could actually be Tom Brady down the street.
But you don't want that. That's not good for the sport.
The lack of respect for the driver's talent and ability at your local racetrack is the number one problem with the sport, in my opinion.
Well, put it this way.
I'm not going to hang up on you, Spike, because you disagree with me, but that, in my opinion, that's the biggest problem that needs to be fixed.
Well, absolutely. But here's what you're a guy in music, right?
Right.
Now,
are you about to give me your local boy band bullshit? I'm tired of it being a local boy band.
Well, right, but here's what I'm saying. If somebody came along and said, hey, this Chaz, like, his stuff is great. I mean, it's some of the best stuff I've ever heard. And obviously you're talking to a guy that says, well, to make it on the radio, you need to buy 10 of our guitars. You have to buy only our editing equipment. You have to buy our tour buses, and you have to sign on with our management, and your mom and dad got to give us, $1 million to make it possible for you to do so.
Okay.
And then they say, yeah, but what about this Chaz guy? I mean, he's awesome. They're going to be like, we don't give a fuck because he don't make us money.
That's not what I described.
Huh?
That's not what I described.
Right, but what you're saying is, don't you think the people would love to see the Joes versus the pros? And I said that would never happen. Why? Because the pros don't want the exposure that the Joes are on their level.
You think so?
Well, if to some degree there's going to be some protection. Either it's going to be from the ones that profit from it, or it's the ones that invested. So if I'm a race car driver and my mom and dad just spent millions to get me to where I am, and then some asshole from the local track who's, homeless damn near beats me, and they're like, oh, hey, the local dirt track guy, we're going to give him a contract, that's going to, my folks and myself are going to be fucking irate, Huh. My sponsorship's going to be pissed. Everyone's going to be pissed off because it's like, well, then what the hell did we invest in?
Right. I get that.
So that's why they would never have such a thing that exposes the fact that there's talent beyond the money givers.
Because they don't want to be exposed, you're saying?
Well, because it's financial gain. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, I mean, really, like, why do you think that there ain't no asphalt stars making it? There's asphalt tracks out there with, Matt Kenseth's son and all these different people, right?
Right.
Why in the hell are none of those guys making it to NASCAR anymore? Because their daddies don't have no money.
Right. I just think that we need more fans. I just think we need more fans at local racetracks on the front gate so we could pay more in the back gate. If you had World of Outlaw style crowds at local racing events, it would pay a lot more to win. It would fix the economics. And I think the reason we don't have a lot of weekly racing fans is due to a lack of respect of the talent level that is at your local racing event.
I think there is fan bases out there at local events, but it's because
not where it needs to be. Not where it needs to be at all.
Where does it need to be?
It needs to be full every week so that money can start paying normally again. The reason it paid $1,000 to win in the 80s, the local racetrack, is because they had a huge amount of grandstand. The money was being made to be able to pay out. Since we went to this backgate business model, it hasn't worked, but it's not going to.
I sent you that poster. That poster from, 1985 for Eldora Speedway?
Right, but that's when the crowd's full.
No, but what the point was is that the purses for the features hasn't even gone up since 1985.
Right. Agree. 100%.
So just think about this though. If I got the local dirt track in my area, right? And let's just say I got the IMCA guys that show up, right? All 4 divisions, whatever.
Okay.
And say for 10 years I've been paying out, whatever, $750 to win, and then $500 for the lesser divisions.
Okay.
And then after 10 years, these guys go, Jesus, gas is going up, tires aren't cheap. Jesus, cost me more to get this thing wrapped every year. What do you guys think about this? And all the other drivers are like, yeah, it's bullshit. Well, goddamn it, I'm going to do something about it. Yeah, me too. Well, next week they're all still there.
Yeah. They lack the ability to do something about it.
They ain't gonna hold me up. They ain't gonna say, you better raise the purse or we're not coming no more.
Right.
Because they want to pay to play.
It's true. I mean, I agree. I know what you're saying. But anyways, it's over 2 hours. We need to get the hell out of here.
I don't think the Outlaws will be affected at all by the All-Star Series. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Okay, Joe. Okay, Joe.
We went through this last year. We went through this last year when high limits came up and everyone thought it was the end of the world. Nothing changed.
Keep talking then, Spike. Respond to the chatters. You're good at it. I got to take a piss if you don't want to let me go.
What are you in the chat room? Let me look this up. Here's the facts, everybody. That Zach kid that he interviewed, he's a good guy. He's humble and he loves the fact that he's racing. He's grateful. And a lot of drivers aren't grateful. Maybe some of these people need to sit in prison for about a year and they might be grateful to drive a car. That's what I got to say. And it's a fact. That kid, he's humble and he's grateful just to drive a 305. These kids out there at 15, 16 are pissing and moaning because they don't like their 410. That's a fact. What do you think of that, Chaz? Get back in there. You snuggling with the honey or what? Yeah, where are you, man? Hurry up.
Oh, my God. I almost fell down the stairs laughing. Oh, my God. He said, go sit in the cell for a year. Got these 14, 15-year-olds out here just crying because they don't like their 410. Oh,
it's
man.
True.
It is?
Yeah. Fuck Ryan Timms. I'll say it. I mean, he's an example. Good kid and everything, but it's like you ain't ready.
Right.
You ain't ready yet.
That is crazy.
You know? You ain't ready yet. But there's nothing wrong with that. You just climb the ladder. They just keep climbing the ladder. Keep grinding. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, you make a good point.
You're the head quarterback at whatever top 5 college football program, and you got to ride the bench behind some of the greatest quarterbacks in the world for a few years. That's the new NFL system.
Yeah.
Right? So how many of these guys would come in and say, well, I'm the midget world champion, or I'm the 360 world champion where I'm from? Well, that's cool, but you got some learning to do.
Right.
That's why they all quit. That's why they all quit right away.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Well, that guy was great, though. I mean, think about it. That guy is grateful and so blessed to even be able, number one, not that he was even like, I didn't hear the first part of it, why he went to prison, and it's irrelevant. And I don't know, and then he said he's got head injuries, but I guess that's from racing, right? Is that what he's alluding to?
Yeah, that's kind of what he was alluding to, yes.
It wasn't that he got head injuries from an accident or something, I guess, and from
No.
from previous, right?
No.
No, exactly. So the fact of the matter is the guy is just grateful for the fact that anybody gave him the chance, considering his past, and he's just happy as hell to be driving. And it's a 305, right? 358, whatever it is. I don't know exactly. 305, I think.
305. Yes.
And yeah, and then he's happy as hell. I mean, he's living his dream. And he's just grateful as hell. And then someone said, have you ever raced a 410? And he said no.
And
I mean,
and the
you
reason
know how
why
many of these
is the issue.
Well, the parallel that I'm saying is how many kids or young adults in their 20s are racing 410s right now and are ungrateful.
Yeah, that's why I fell down laughing. They're fucking, like you said, they're 14 and crying because they don't like their 410. And then here's a guy who's been in prison. Go sit. That's when you say go sit in prison for a year. Zach Rhodes is happy with his 305, you little brat.
He went to fucking micros when he got out of prison.
And he was happy.
I mean,
he was happy about it.
Yeah. And he's just like, I'm just grateful that anyone even wanted to give me the time of day to put me in the seat.
Right.
That's beautiful. That was a lovely interview because it shows you that there are guys out there that are grateful.
Yeah, they're not ungrateful like these shitty people now.
Well, and I think that's why the IMCA divisions, and I come back to them once in a while, why they have such a following, and even like UMP mods to some degree, in these modified divisions such as that, where these guys will win $1,000 feature, right? And you see that Houston's even with that weird late model division they got.
Yeah.
These guys get out of the car and they're bawling their fucking eyes out.
Yeah. They're just so
I love
happy.
that. I'm crying with them. I'm like broke Joe. I was bawling, fucking crying about shit. So, I mean, I was crying too. I'm like, I felt it. I was like, man, I bet you that's the greatest feeling because this is their Super Bowl at this track right now,
Right. That's right.
So I love that emotion, and I love that it's real because they're grateful. They're just grateful to even race.
It's true. And it's sad that more people don't act like that.
I'm grateful to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
I'm grateful to be a fan.
Yeah. All right. Is that all you wanted to do was to slap the kiddies in the face?
No, I'm not trying to be a dick. I think they all they're a product of their raising and based on the influences of their parents and these money guzzling pieces of shit that control them. So
yeah,
I don't hold it against
weird,
these kids.
it?
Huh?
It's weird.
It's NASCAR on dirt. That's all it is.
It's just fucking weird, man. I don't get it.
That's why that's why they all are like, they get in the midget, right? And they're like, what do you want to do after you conquer Keith Coos Motorsports? And they're like, I want to go to NASCAR.
Yeah.
You're like, well, where did that come from? And it's like,
or now F1.
Yeah, but that's just Ryan Timms. Like, he's the only one that said that.
No. Avedisian said that. Kaylee Bryson has said that. There's a lot of people wanting that. A lot of
yeah, but
talent.
they'd have to go through so many channels to get to that. It wouldn't even matter.
You don't think so?
You know what I'm saying? At this point, they'd have to be like Danica and move to Europe when you're 14,
Bro, yeah, I understand that the logistics make no sense at all, but this is what younger kids are asking for. Not just Ryan Timms.
Well, I get it. But once they start to realize, like, well, that's an unobtainable dream, NASCAR is their best option. Why? Because it's the same kind of feeder system.
Right. And
You know,
I
it's
get that.
people with money. Yeah, that you have to kiss their ass and then they get you places.
Yeah, that's not a lie.
And I'm not against that. I think that's the nature of any sport professionally.
And that's very true as well. You know, it is the nature of the sport. So,
But you need to apologize to Broke Joe and get him back on. That's all I gotta say.
you think I need to apologize to that son of a bitch?
Yeah, because sometimes you just need to be the bigger man, you know.
Somebody just said, I saw Chaz in a sprint car. You looked pretty good. What do you think of that?
But that's not true. That never happened.
Yes, I mean, I looked fine. I didn't look out of place. I mean, some people got mad at my video yesterday when I said you can't teach talent no matter how much you race. Stop listening to these people who just want to take money from you. And I referenced how in my third race, I almost won it, was running the top, got past with one to go. And I wasn't trying to be cocky. I mean, Kyle Larson has said I'm a good race car driver. He is on the record, not joking, actually meaning it.
But you guys are iRacing.
My point, well, I think iRacing is a big tool. I think all sim racing is just, if a kid can't properly race on sim racing, you probably shouldn't be in a real race car. I just don't think you should. It'd save you a lot of money. And all of my racing that I did, I probably raced 15, 20 times. New York, Arizona, California, Iowa. I never, not once, had anyone mad at me for driving them dirty. I knew, and I raced in packs. I raced in New York at one track where you couldn't see. The dust was that bad. I'm simply saying, I never had an issue of driving over a nose of anyone. I never cut someone off into the wall at the last second. I never did any of these things. So what I mean by that is I think that does have to do with learning racecraft in iRacing. I do think that is a thing that I learned how to do racing in a game, yes, but learning how to race clean. And I don't even know if you could do that. And I didn't even do that, to be honest. Me and Kyle and everybody, we raced in R Factor. It's kind of a little bit older of a game to play. It was really good, really entertaining. Racers made the game. But I don't know if you could do that in modern iRacing, because I do see modern sim racing kind of being like a wreck fest. It's almost like the same thing in real racing, how they say, back in the day, we raced with respect, and today people are just running each other over. That's kind of the same situation in the sim racing world. Back in the day, you could have a really clean race. Me, Kyle, Kevin Swindell, a bunch of guys, and if you stepped out of line, you didn't get to race. Nowadays, it is kind of just a go in there and wreck it, like it's a video game deal. You know, so I don't even know if you could. I just don't even know if you could properly sim race in today's world either, you know.
It'd have to be some kind of controlled series in a way. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so.
But I will say this on a closing note. When the hell did all these sprint car fans get so fucking sensitive about wrecks?
Yeah, that is true. Everybody was like, fuck it, let's die. And then it's like, we have to live forever mentality took over. I don't know.
No, it's the fans, I'm saying. The fans, that they'll sit there and, be so butthurt because a guy, slid a guy and touched his wheel a little bit, and that caused them to wreck. And it's like, well, number one, they're going pretty damn fast, and number two, it's a calculated maneuver. But then all of a sudden the other guy retaliates at some point because he's like, this motherfucker, he's been screwing me over all race. I'm going to just put his ass into the fucking fence.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I went to a Badger Michigan football game about 4 or 5 years ago. A Badger player got a penalty for unnecessary roughness, whatever the fuck, right? Bullshit call. The Michigan player taunts him a little bit after the penalty because it put them in the scoring range then. You know what the Wisconsin player did on the next play? He came and knocked the fucker out.
No.
They had to cart him off the field because he's like, well, you're gonna be a bitch and get a penalty drawn on me for a bullshit deal that I didn't even hit you that hard. And then you're gonna taunt me over it. I will hit you that hard then next time.
Wow.
And we all erupted, right? All of us Wisconsin fans were like, yeah, fucking paralyze the prick, you know? So,
Wow.
you know, but what I'm saying is when do these race car fans be almost like we're watching a game of chess, and if you accidentally touch my chess piece, I'm going to cry and flip the table, you know?
Yeah, that is very weird.
You know, it's like they almost act like the whole race is in slow motion and we're just walking on the dirt together, and you somehow just took your ass and ran it into me as if you had no control over yourself.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, these guys are going fast on a slippery surface. And if a guy Dom wanted to retaliate like that one video, I'm like, hell yeah, fuck it. Put him in the wall. I love it.
I think he was sending a message to all these kiddies who are out here ready to pounce on him, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
But if one of those youngsters decides that they're going to put Dom in the wall next time, hey, good for them.
Right.
Now we got a war. We just declared war.
That's how it's coming across for sure. That is how it's coming across.
I think that if there's that much fear in, you know, these wrecks on a turn, right, that is going to cause somebody to perish, then they need to go back to the drawing board of safety. And in fact, at this point, then they maybe need to just outlaw the whole series altogether. If simple maneuvering like that is possibly fatal.
Right.
It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not. What they're doing is it's not like they're actually putting a guy in extreme harm's way, in my humble opinion.
It's true.
It's just kind of a small mistake they're making, or even if it is a retaliation, it's like what Dom did where he just kind of asses the guy and he tumbles. Big deal.
Right. He probably just meant to knock him up the track. He didn't probably meant to flip or mean to flip him into the fence. That's just kind of what happened.
That's what they do. Yeah, that's the way they're built, right? So, like...
Well, I mean, you can hit a guy and he just goes up the track, or you can hit a guy and he bounces and flips into the fence. I don't think that he was trying to flip him into the fence, but he was trying to say, fuck you.
And I don't think it's necessarily the young drivers or the young fans that feel this way. I think it's these older fans and older... I'm not saying drivers. I'm just saying older fans, older owners that are very sensitive to accidents. And I don't know if that's just because they feel mortality at their age, right, or if they see money, right? Like if you see a car wreck, you go, oh my God, that's 20 grand shit, you know? You know, you feel like you just got stabbed because it's just, you see dollar signs. So,
right.
You know, and that's where you see the dads bone up on each other in the pits, and the young guys are just like, hey, you dick, and it's like, yeah, whatever, see you next week. You know, it's like they don't care. Whereas the dads are the ones that are kind of getting tough guy and more sensitive to it. So,
yeah, this is true. It's probably very true, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so that's all I'm saying is like, I mean, what the hell? Why are you guys all sensitive? Like, calm down. And if you're that scared, don't race them anymore, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, late model guys are wrecking. I mean, they retaliate. The late model guys do it. It's fucking great.
I mean, yeah, they don't seem to have an issue when it's the late model guy.
Right, right.
It's like, why be a crybaby about it?
Right. Well, there's retaliation needed, and they retaliated, and this is how it goes. It's the Wild West in the racing world, you know.
Yeah. That is how it goes.
But it's also a difference of mentality, you know. And as far as in the late model world, it's kind of almost it's not a situation where a guy gets a little loose and kind of, you know, bumps a little bit. The other guy bumps a little fender, and it's like, oh shit, you know, my bad, right? And the other driver is realizing that, you know, well, shit, the track's rough or whatever. it's more a situation where the sprint car guys are like, any tiny infraction where you just suddenly breathe on me wrong, I am going to destroy you.
Now,
You know,
question. Do you think that if a newer sprint car was to be developed, that for sprint car safety, there should be some type of bumper rail of a sort? Like to take the open wheel factor out of it, you know, in some aspects.
No, that wouldn't do any. That wouldn't be a good option.
Why?
Because if you put a barrier between the wheel and the driver, that's just going to make it more options for guys to just bang into each other more.
Right. But I'm just saying, I think that would make it a little safer, at least.
I don't think
somebody said so. Make it a big go-kart. I mean, I'm joking in a way, but I'm just saying, like, it would make it safer because you can't bang. You can't make a mistake. It ain't like a late model where you just rub up the track into the guy and you keep on going. You might kill someone if you make mistakes. Which that goes back to licensing. Should licensing be a real deal now?
I don't think any of these kids are that reckless, though, either.
You don't? You think they're clean?
I think that racing is difficult and that there are errors that can be made. And we're so used to the pristine perfectness of the professional World of Outlaws t-shirt parade that any type of error, human error, it's, well, don't even let that kid ever race again.
Really?
You know, it's like, no, there is going to be human error. And the other thing is it track conditions? Is the track jacked up? Did something break on the car? Is something screwed up on the kid's car? Who knows, right?
Right.
It's one thing if it's you know what, this kid was going full bore and turned completely right and just completely clipped the guy and sent him flipping 20 times through the air. And he got out of his car and said, good, fuck him, I was doing that on purpose. Well, that's a different story. You know, this is a situation where there's human error when you're at, these semi-professional levels of sprint car racing. It's just a fact.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think it necessarily has to do with the fact that they didn't, win the micro world championship or something like that either. I just think there is learning curves and there's many different variables that go into it. And like I said, we're so used to this perfect farm track that the Outlaws race on. And quite frankly, what do they run a year? The Outlaws, 80, 90 races, right?
Yeah.
I would say probably about 50 to 60 of them. Well, I should say probably about 20 of them, they actually go balls out and will actually put their shit on the line. And probably about 50 to 60 of those nights, it's a gentleman's agreement. Hey, don't fuck me up. I won't fuck you up. And let's just follow the two good lines that are out there.
That makes sense. For sure.
Because the bigger picture is let's get to the next town and keep selling T-shirts,
Pretty much.
We're getting our toll money. We're getting our bonuses for being top 10 in points. But you get to the California level where arguably people say this is the best in the world, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, well, there's a lot on the line. It's not just, that there's one standout kid. There's 10 of him or 20 of him on every night that he's over there,
Yeah. That's true.
You look at a PA and it's like, well, look who's climbed the ladder in the the past 5 or less years, right? It's basically 3 guys maybe.
It's not a lot.
Right. So they all are kind of, those are the standouts. It's obvious they're the standouts. They have the means, they have the ability, and they're moving on. Now you've got, 20, 16-year-olds to 20-something-year-olds in California that are all vying for that same position with the hopes of being noticed and getting a major ride, right? And that's a lot of effort and pressure, and yeah, every race they go balls out for that reason, and I like that.
Right, and they have to, or their daddies will beat them.
And yeah, and that's fine too.
Corporal punishment is fine.
You whoop his ass, right? But
slap little Timmy across the face if he don't win this race. All right.
Yeah. And now and I understand now, because I remember one time we were talking to Justin Sanders, remember? And then I when we walked away, I go, oh my God, that kid is so kind of so anxiety ridden, as a person.
Yeah.
And he's very critical of himself, but then at the same token, he's almost just like, well, I appreciate that you think I'm doing great, but I don't, I hope that others think I'm great enough too. In a way, it's this unwritten kind of vibe you get from the kid. And then now I understand it a little more. It's like, wow, there's a lot of pressure in California. And then obviously if he's like the hated one too, Right.
And then, at the same time, you're always a target on these little tracks where you can get tagged all the time. So if you make it out, it's like diamonds, high pressured situations create, very strong things.
Yeah, because I remember Knoxville Nationals, 2 years ago, we were talking to him. I said, man, you're doing great. I said, you made the show. You're in the Knoxville Nationals. You're doing awesome, and he was just really still. Yeah, he really was still under a lot of pressure, I felt. Not to win the race per se, but it was almost like, who's going to kill me? Like, who's out to get me right now? It was really, I felt for the kid. I really did. I was like, I feel bad for the kid.
Yeah.
So that's a different scene out there, that California scene. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really deep evaluation, but it's true. You have to.
And maybe that's why they don't like Broke Joe, because he's deep diving into some sinister plots of children that really maybe aren't a thing.
Now, I really think that there's some truth to what you just said. I just think that I think that sometimes his biasness gets the best of him, I guess I would say.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say they're all children, because some of these guys are in their 20s, but I think some of it is, it's like, there isn't a deviousness to it. It's just they screwed up. And yeah, you're going to have friendships, and by God, you're going to have marriages that develop from the racing scene. Yes, there is going to be a sister of a driver that marries a driver. That's going to be a thing that is going to happen, but that's no different than my buddies are farmers, and guess who they marry? Farmers' daughters, because they get the industry. They understand the farm world. Well, obviously, you're going to want to get with a girl that understands why you want to be at a dirt track every damn night,
Right.
You think you're going to get with a girl that works in an office and she's like, oh, yeah, we can have a happy marriage while you run off and race all over the place. She's going to be like, bullshit, So like, you kind of have to get with what you are.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's just normal,
Yeah.
So it's not devious, and it's not inbreeding or joining the mafia. It's just who you grew up with. I mean, these kids probably grew up together since they're born,
Let's see here. Chaz, that shirt scared me for a minute. You had a t-shirt with my ex's face. Wow. Trying to read these comments. I mean, you're making really good points. It's just, is racing really that sad? I guess is the only way to say it.
Well, my question is, when I was a kid and I watched the Kinsers and the Joey Saldanas and all the legends, Jock and all these guys, and they were in the early to mid 90s, were they this pressured and unhappy and emo? I don't think they were.
You don't think so?
I sure didn't pick up on that vibe when I was a kid, being around them. So
they just seem normal.
They just seem like any guy that I encountered at dirt tracks. They just were better. You know what I mean? They were pros. They were the best.
They were all there.
Yeah. But I didn't feel like they were under pressure or that it was a sad life that they felt imprisoned in by any means.
That is weird that they try to make us feel that way. Like the rich kiddies of the society.
But here's another thing. Could you have a good 10-year run in the world of outlaws from, late 80s into the late 90s and actually just retire? Because the value of money then was, basically with inflation, is like double of what it is now, so to speak. So it's like your purse is meant double or triple of what a purse is now.
Right.
So could you have a good 10-year run, make your money, and then just say, well, I'm 30-something years old and I'm calling it good,
Yeah. That's a way to do it. That's one way to do it. I mean, but
I don't
what are
know
you
if
doing
that's
for the rest of your life? That's what you were talking about, though, with the like corporate-based human trafficking, is they don't have any other skills.
Right. Well, like my thing is I know you've sat down with Jack Hewitt, for example. I'm kind of curious to just have Jack Hewitt sometime just say, here's how I made money and here's when I basically hung it up and what I basically retired with. Because I think it'd be quite an awakening that the guy was able to just race regionally and make a living, and obviously had Indy 500s under his belt too, but which paid a shit ton, when he finished top 10. But
interesting comment here from Fish Smallwater said, did you see Katie Henninger's dad yell at her for retaliating at the race cars this weekend? He told her he didn't teach her to drive and act like that, unlike most other parents. That is interesting to say. It seems like no matter what their kitty does on the racetrack, most of the time the parents enable.
So he called her out.
Well, I know, but it seems like most of the time the parents just say it's okay. Right.
So what he's saying is dad told daughter, like, you don't race like that. That's not how we do it.
You're wrong. And that don't, like, I think what he's trying to say is that don't usually happen. Most of the time the daddies just say it's okay.
Well, look at the Chili Bowl. That one guy just started beating the fuck out of a kid. The dad started beating the fuck out of another dad, and then the driver, it was actually, under 18.
Right.
And the dad, I guess, already had gotten in trouble for beating ass before, so he was under probation, and then he went to the clink anyways. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, that's what's interesting. Funny. So, like, if you and I are at a bar and some guy comes up to me and says "fuck you," and then I shove him and and then I punch him and he hits the deck, it's like I'm getting cuffed and hauled away, right? So, like. Yeah, I mean, that technically in a bar scenario, like you can get arrested for that. So I just don't get where, like in this sprint car world and racing, you just can beat the hell out of each other. But obviously, even like the late models, it's like, well, you show up with like a hammer and you're swinging it at a guy, then they're going to arrest you too. So it's like,
what are you supposed to do?
It's going to go too far eventually, though, where someone is gonna KO a driver or a dad. The guy's going to fall back and smash his fucking head on a tailgate and be dead.
and then that's the end of people. I think people shouldn't be allowed in the pits anyway. You know,
right?
I was going to say that's going to end people in the pits, but I mean that wouldn't technically be between a father, if it's a father in a fight, those would be people who are in the pits already regardless. But, I think situations like that and other things are going to make it to where people aren't going to be allowed in the pits anymore. And I think it would be a good thing. I think exclusivity is real.
Well, I remember back in the day, you could not get into the pits unless you had long white pants on and white shoes.
Right. There was a dress code.
Like, you couldn't just be a girl in Daisy Dukes or some guy in blue jeans and a cutoff. Like, you had to have white pants and white shoes on.
It's true. I remember what you're saying.
And it was kind of an unwritten rule of like, well, who are you here for? Like, what is your duty?
Right.
Like, you had to fill out a form. Like, they still have them at tracks. If you see on it, it'll say, like, what team are you with and what's your duty? Those are old forms, obviously, but it's basically like, yeah, I'm with, so-and-so race team, and, I'm on the crew, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you actually had to identify, like, who the hell you were and what you were doing there, even if you did have the white pants and white shoes on,
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, yeah, but it's a backgate moneymaker.
Yep, it's all about the back gate. They don't care about the front anymore.
Right. So because it's more an interpersonal up close experience now if you wanted to get a pit pass to NASCAR or IndyCar, well, number one, I don't even know if you can buy them, but if you could, I know pre-IndyCar or pre-Indy 500 pit pass, like before they even fire engines and get them lined up. So just until like 10 or 11 a.m. on Indy 500 day, that's $300 fucking dollars.
Wow.
Just to walk around the pits and on the track.
Wow.
And then as soon as it's ready we're going to start, pushing them and getting them lined up. Get the hell out of here. You're not allowed in here anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it's $300.
That's insane.
Yeah, well, that's the other gripe is when people complain about dirt track prices. Ha, are you kidding me?
Well, I know, and I've had that discussion too many times. It's like, it's $75 to park at Texas or AT&T Stadium. I mean, to go to any kind of concert is unbelievable. I mean, the beers are $15, $16. We don't complain. The hell.
When NASCAR raced at Road America last year, because they didn't this year because they went to Chicago, but the year before, it's $75 a ticket to get into Road America to watch them, do a parade through the road course all day.
And that's it, huh?
I went there with a buddy of mine, and I said, listen, we're going to park, and which I found free area to park, and I said, as soon as the race starts, I said, we're going to walk in this one gate. I said, they leave it open because of emergency access just in case they have to pull an ambulance out. And I said, I'm not paying $75. And we walked right in.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, like, the moral of the story is it's $75 to go stand in a field and watch them drive by you from far away once every 5 minutes.
Yeah, you would think that's not right, right?
Yeah, like Chicago road course, just to have access to the road course to be able to watch it on big screens and stand far away, it was $300.
Wow.
So
So what you're telling
when
me
people
basically is like, shut up, dirt people, go sit in prison for a year. Or the same as the 14-year-old kid upset with his 410.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what was the million, $80 or $70 or something to get in?
Right.
I mean, might not even been that much, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, Knoxville Nationals is like 45, I think, right? Or 55
It's
maybe
up
for
there.
the main event.
It's up
right?
there.
Right, but it ain't 300.
No.
You know, if you wanted start-finish line at a NASCAR or IndyCar race, it would probably be 500 to 1,000.
Yeah, I agree.
So you're paying a tenth of that to go see the Knoxville Nationals Saturday night.
Yeah, I tried to reiterate that our prices aren't right, but I've been responded to with it's our class of people that do that. And dirt racing is a low-class sport.
Well, but I've never heard late model people complain about pricing, and what I've also noticed about late model fans is they're happy sitting anywhere.
Okay.
That's a very unique thing that I've noticed. Like sprint car fans are very possessive of their little ass room that they got, and that, you know, and then if people got to get up and go pee, they get pissed off, and it's just like they're very weird about every little nuance about their seat, right? And whereas a late model fan is just like, there's a spot, you know, 2 rows up from the track. I mean, I can only see half the track, but whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I'll maybe halfway through, I'll move down a little bit and see if I can find another opening, a few more rows up, whatever. It's cool. You know, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, see, that makes sense.
And they cheer, which I love. Like, they get into it, especially when you get more in the South for the late mile people. Like, the late mile fans get into it.
Yeah, they do. Just like the announcer. The announcing down there is awesome.
Yeah, whereas, like, sprint car fans, it's like they sit on their hands. You know, it's weird.
Yeah, man. What is up with that? Why?
Well, because they're told to sit down. They're told it's church, you know? Like, don't stand up, don't say a word, don't move, so that everyone can see.
And so everyone can listen to Johnny Gibson.
You know, in a minute, you get some crazy action on the track, and, you know, say you just lift your ass up because you're looking down the track to see, holy shit, what the hell's going on? You're going to have some asshole that just starts lighting you up because you stood half-assed up and looked at something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, they just get this weird possessiveness about the racing and their territory. And then, you know, after a while, you're just like, well, fuck this. Like, I ain't coming to this no more. These guys are nuts. Like, I think this old man just, like, you know, fucking go off on me or hit.
Oh, he hung up. He hung up. Or maybe his phone died. Oh, my. Did he hang up? Oh, my. What happened here? Oh, my. Hold on. I think he hung up, ladies and gentlemen. He ain't calling back. Oh, my. Where is he at? I don't even see him anymore. I think his phone died, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it. Well, that's going to do it with Spike. Anything I want to give a shout out to before we get out of here? It is almost 3 hours. So maybe this is the best time. Maybe Patrick Krob will call in. We'll have the Hawaiian call in next. I'm trying to not go 3 hours. I did just have somebody say they want me to call them. We're 3 hours in. I don't know why people want to call and talk for 3 hours. I guess it's because I'm the only one who is doing that. Everyone else is like, give me 5 minutes. Hello. Hello.
Yo, Chaz, what's going on, buddy?
What's up? What did you want to talk?
Well, I've been telling you that if Kyle Larson doesn't back it down, what's he going to do?
What do you mean by that?
I told you if Kyle Larson doesn't get a driver coach or a little bit of head coaching on the
you're
NASCAR
talking
side,
NASCAR.
like
I
Christopher
didn't
Bell's
know.
been getting.
That's what I'm saying. I'm in hour 3, and we weren't talking about NASCAR. Sorry, you just completely shifted a lot of gears.
What do you want to talk about? That racing is.
Well, set yourself
game of
up when
chicken?
you say something. That's all I would say. Is like, so I was telling you the other day about NASCAR and Larson or something. Like, I just didn't use some out. So what about Larson? He needs a coach, and I'm like, whoa, what about what? What's going on here?
Well, I told you when you drive 100% in that new Cup car, guess what you're going to do? You're going to crash it.
Oh yeah, he definitely messed it up. That's for sure.
And back to your point about Christopher Bell being potentially better than Kyle Larson, right?
Yeah.
When this whole new next gen came out, what was Christopher Bell doing a lot of? Crashing and spinning out.
Yeah.
What is Christopher Bell not doing right now?
Crashing and spinning out. There's a connection there.
He's chilling out. So you know what that tells me?
He's got a coach.
I'm telling you that. Not that he's got a coach. He's more focused on what he's got to do to drive that car. Where Kyle's still driving the sprint car, relying on that big fat ass right rear tire.
Right.
Right? So there's some stuff there, man. I'm telling you. With that sprint car, you can drive it 100%, and it'll, if you got the talent, you can save your ass, 100 times out of 100. But in that Cup car, you're not gonna save yourself. No way.
No, you're not.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's not an easy race car to drive.
No, it's a sports car driving on ovals.
Yeah, and Larson is definitely an on the edge kind of guy. So
yeah, he's a guy that hangs the car out on that right rear, day in, day out.
Yeah, and that's a sprint car deal, but the old stuff would have done that, or fits that. This new one doesn't.
Exactly, correct. 100%.
And he needs somebody helping him to figure it out.
He's just got to chill the fuck out, Chaz. Wait, are you allowed to swear?
I mean, yeah, I swear all the time. Not all the time, but...
Well, anyways, Kyle Larson needs to chill the fuck out driving his Cup car. But you know what we don't want is when he hops in that sprint car, we don't want him to chill the fuck out. We want him to hang it out.
Well, yeah, he has to, or he won't succeed. You have to hang it out.
Kyle Larson will succeed.
Well, but you have to hang it out in a sprint car, whereas you can't hang it out in the next gen, and I think that's what you're saying the problem is.
It's impossible to. It's a sports car driving on ovals.
Right.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Right.
It's like telling the world of outlaws that, take the wings off just because it's windy and, still race, right?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Because there's no money in what? Non-wing racing.
Oh, there's no money at all. It's bad.
So one of the things I got to tell you, Chaz, with regards to the stuff that's been going on, that I think you keep talking about, maybe there should be a licensing thing, or maybe there should be a
vetting.
vetting. But you know what there probably should be is there should be a rule based on time, even in qualifying, right? So like in other forms of racing, like Formula One, for example, if you're within 107%, you can start the race, right? Well, 107% in a sprint car, if you're, say it's a 13-second lap, if you're 14 seconds, you're not racing. If you're 1 second off the pace, you're not fast enough and you shouldn't even be out there.
Right.
That's also part of the problem with the so-called top-tier racing, right? And let's just call World of Outlaws top-tier racing, right?
Yeah, for the fun of it. Why not?
For the fun of it, right? If you have somebody there 1.5 seconds off Brad Sweet, David Gravel, they should not be on the track if it's a 13-second lap.
Right.
No way in hell. Because the safety factor, and I get the guy that, you're just talking to, these things are not safe. And racing is a game of chicken, and the thrill of racing is the danger element.
Right.
Right? But we love the danger element when it's close side-by-side racing, open wheel, balls to the wall. These guys are banging the boards, banging tires. Hell yeah. But when they run up on a motherfucker that's 3 seconds off the pace in 5 laps, get the fuck off the track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
but how is that guy even able to be on the track? It comes back to people not being licensed or vetted or proven. At least in Australia, like he was saying, you have to perform on a lower tier level exceptionally, or you're not allowed to go to 410s. And that was a good point I thought I made, was like, you shouldn't really be going to 410s if you're barely able to run 10th in a 360 or barely able to run 5th. You should be dominating or winning in those lower tiers before you even advance. And that's not happening.
No. And this also goes back to your point with regards to some of these daddies with money. Why don't you, instead of throwing it into your kids, throwing $500,000 to $750,000 in their sprint car program and watching your kid ride off car after car after car.
Right.
Freaking throw it into a Justin Sanders or, an up and coming Rico Abreu.
Yeah.
That's the way it needs to go back to.
Right.
Right? Because exactly to your point, and the other guy that called in, is everybody and their brother is becoming a snowflake. I think we're, I don't know, are we eating too much soy sauce? Like
something in the water. Maybe it's the sparkling water that I keep drinking. Maybe it's carbonation.
No, it's the DuPont. What is it? C8.
Yeah, DuPont.
Technically in all of our water.
Yeah.
So
nobody cares to notice.
On that one.
Yeah, corporatism, and that's what I was saying as well. I was making a point with the whole people don't want regulation. Well, rich people don't want regulation, but regulation is put in place so that rich people can't do things that harms the community they're within, the society around them. Just like they might not be or shouldn't be allowed to run sprint cars without being licensed or vetted or something, because it could kill, as Dom was saying, it could kill other people to drive these cars without the right ability to be able to do them.
Well, regulation only works, Chaz, if those that are doing the regulation don't have their hand in benefiting from the regulation.
Right, and
so
that's why I was saying. Yeah. Go ahead.
Correct. No, that was it. Is exactly to your point that you've been making and all the videos that I've been saying is that there's regulations, but the regulations need to fit for everybody, not for those that have written the regulations, right? It's like the politicians. If they're regulating an organization but also capable of trading stocks in the given organizations that are going to benefit from a regulation, it's exactly the same shit that we deal with in racing.
Yeah.
In all forms, right?
It is.
Because here's the thing, Chaz. So with everything going on, I don't want to get political at all, but here's just an example. Between Israel and Palestine, the only organization in the world not to call out this whole bullshit ordeal has been the FIA and Formula One. Because the weekend that this stuff went down, Formula One was in Qatar. And apparently this whole thing started because the leaders of Palestine and Hamas was in Qatar during Formula One weekend. How nutty is that?
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
That's pretty nutty, man.
So exactly back to your whole regulation. It's like the California cartel, you know, the small people like, you know, Broke Joe, you know, it is what it is.
Wow. I've been watching a lot of stuff on the Israel thing. I've been watching, I would love to talk about regular stuff in here too. I watched a real good video where they had a Muslim versus a Christian, like they had two people from each side. Because that's kind of what's going on over there. Well, not Muslim, Islam versus Christian. Because Muslims can be Christians or Islamic. And that's kind of the war that's somewhat in that vicinity. But just going on the religional practices and their differences. And it was like, you know, unfortunately, the Islam people were making good points. You know, they were trying to say, you know, the teachings of Jesus was more from a perspective of let everyone live and all these things and be nice, because the Christians never had political power. And he said the reason Islam got so violent with wars and things like that is because Islam had taken over political power in their stories and teachings. And he was kind of using how when he was saying when Christians get into political powers, we see a lot of things just as warmongering. You know, if America is considered a Christian nation, look at all the wars we've dabbled into and started and everything. Is that any more or just as equal or fair to, you know, Islam and Muhammad's wars? You know, it's like, I'm sure we've killed or maimed or attacked more countries than Islam as a Christian nation, technically.
I would say from a political standpoint of Christian nations is not being led they politicize faith.
Well, and that was a point that the Islam guy was making, is that the difference between Islam and Christians is Christians have changed what true Christianity used to be, like the values and the thoughts and the principles.
No.
Like they have evolved. No. They've changed what they truly believe in. Like you see people, he was talking about LGBTQ and stuff. He's like, actual Christian teachings are against this stuff. And you have modern Christians moving it to appease those to be accepted within society. He's like, Islam doesn't bend for society's standards. Christianity does, and that's the problem with it.
The problem is I don't agree with that. I would say that those that control the media push that narrative, which does not support Christians.
Okay.
Politicians don't support Christians. I feel that politicians themselves are more of the teachings of the devil than anything. So, because, you know, I feel that anytime, you know, like a Pence brings in the Lord and all of this stuff, he's full of shit. He's completely full of shit. All of these politicians that say they're religious and this and that, they don't give a shit about religion. They care about the dollar at the end of the day. That's it. They've already sold their soul to the devil. They're just trying to preach to the Christian community, saying that they're a good Christian and this and that. It's all bullshit. They don't support the day-to-day American at all. it's
don't
all
think
BS.
so?
No, because if they did, Trump would still be in office, and there wouldn't even be a war.
Are you sure about that?
There would not be a war.
But
100%. He's the only Chaz. He's the only president in the history of the United States. In the whole history of the United States, has never started a fucking war.
That doesn't.
The only one.
But no, you're misunderstanding what's happened here. The situation in Israel and Palestine is a situation that goes back to the Jewish religion. And unfortunately, I don't know if you knew it or not, but Trump was heavily involved with the Jewish, and that's the issue with people who come out and talk politics, and any kind of Jewish people are in too many powerful positions. We can't really make that point without being called a Holocaust supporter or something. So Trump and all of these politicians are in with, the Netanyahu style of teachings. We are the banker slave dog, and the banker, unfortunately, has on all sides is controlled by Israel, the home of the Jewish people. And that's what this is all about, because post-World War II, they came back in and segregated everyone to Palestine, kind of treated those people bad. Gaza and all this stuff. We had the wars, and with the Cold Wars and stuff, we integrated with people. So it's like the whole Gaza situation was a place where people were basically being forcefully tortured by not being provided food and water and fair treatment on that land that they felt is theirs. And if you go look at maps of Israel historically, there's still countries, there's like half the world doesn't even recognize Israel as a state. And it's like about the same amount doesn't even recognize Palestine as a state. So the distinguishment of whose land that actually is a very real true thing. And, we're always the lapdog of Israel. So our media only pushes one side of this situation over there. So you're right, media projects what you believe, but there's a legitimate argument war issue over there that isn't necessarily, oh, cry me Israel, because Israel has technically been torturing the Palestinian people there for about 40, 50 years now.
Well,
that's why they're fighting back. That's why they shot rockets. They shot rockets because their people are being treated horribly for tens of decades.
Question: Who did so in Palestine? They had an election, right? Who did they democratically vote to lead their country in Palestine?
Are you trying to make a Jewish historical war influenced by the Democratic Party of the modern United States?
No, I'm not.
Then why reference the Democratic people?
No. I'm not saying Democratic people. I'm saying that
elected.
This is what the Palestine people said. They said that we democratically elected Hamas as leaders of Palestine, right?
Okay.
And what does Hamas want to do? They want to wipe everybody off the earth so that only Islam can lead the world.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly what you know or what you've been told, but.
Well, you also got to remember this, Chaz. We had COVID, right? We had the bat virus come in.
Right.
We had COVID. Then we have inflation. Then when inflation became such a heavy topic, all of a sudden Russia invades Ukraine. I know people in Ukraine that say life is normal.
Really?
And from what I understand, with the people that I've met who are from Ukraine and still have family there, it is just Ukraine. Just propaganda at this point. So the
whole situation over there
thing. So then we have this Russia-Ukraine thing. How long has that headline gone on for?
A long time.
So sometimes that gets pretty old, right? Like after 18, 20 months, that gets a little old,
media
right?
and politicians basically manipulate us so that they can take all of our tax money and we don't care and do whatever they want with it? It's just manipulation to keep us distracted.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting to. So then my other question is the CIA behind Hamas? Is the CIA behind X? Is the CIA behind Z? Right?
The bigger conspiracy theory I've ever heard is that none of it happens and that it is all just like they're literally filming movies of what's happening around the world and they're showing it to most of the people who never leave the country and we just believe it.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
Like it's literally an act. It's all literally a TV show.
And that's the thing, because I spoke to a guy who was from Ukraine, and he didn't really want to talk about things. And a buddy of mine that actually spoke Ukrainian, he just made sure that he wasn't Russian before he talked to him because he was a little skittish. And they ended up having like a really good in-depth conversation. And I said, well, what's the moral of it? And he says, it's a proxy war. He says, Zelensky's going after the Orthodox churches in Ukraine. In Ukraine, he has actually jailed his opponents, political opponents. They're in jail.
Yeah.
It's just Zelensky. And if you look at this guy before, guess what he was? He was an actor.
Yep.
What was Donald Trump before he became
a fucking game show host? Yep. It's all a motherfucking show. And you're gonna tell me here's a good one for the number people out there. You're gonna tell me that on the week of Hugh Hefner's death of 90 years old, that same weekend, you're going to have at the Route 90 Country Music Festival, one of the biggest domestic terror attacks ever in Las Vegas. And all the cameras and everything that you know and everything you see in the most heavily surveilled area in the world, probably, for a city for sure, you can't show me one damn clip at all. And we all know that Jason Aldean has the ace and jack on his arm. That's an Illuminati Freemasonal symbol. So, I mean, how is that? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
There's just so much.
No, yeah, and in that scenario, there's more than one shooter. You kidding me?
Or you not just more than one shooter. Can you show me one thing of this guy? Show me him walking through the lobby, going to his room.
Nothing.
Show me something.
Nothing.
I mean, why?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hey, did you, not to change topics, but did I send you that thing on IndyCar? They're doing like a race at the beginning of next year, and there's 2,000 tickets available for people to go. And do you know what the ticket price is?
I bet you it's fucking high. There's only 2.
No, 2,000 tickets.
Right. There's only 2,000. That's not a lot for a racing event of that magnitude.
Right.
So they got to be expensive.
And they're paying $1 million to win.
Yeah, it's got to be extremely expensive.
2,000 a ticket.
Where the hell are they going to race where only 2,000 people can attend?
It's a private track. Club only track.
I'll believe that when I see it. That's too sketchy.
What do you mean that's too sketchy? Look it up. It's on racer.com.
Racer.com.
Racer.com, you'll see it.
Let's see.
They just
IndyCar
released that.
private race. That should bring something up. Thermal Club. What the fuck?
Thermal Club, yeah, that's it.
Look at this shit, guys. He isn't kidding.
They're VIP. They're VIP experience tickets.
Oh, okay. So that's not the entire event tickets.
So the 2000 is for those that are not a member of the track.
Huh. The Thermal Club has settled on its ticket allotment for the March preseason testing $1 million championship. Okay. An exhibition race is the first of a private facility. The FIA Grade 2 road course welcomed IndyCar. So it's exhibition. Who's going to be there?
All of them.
Is Larson going to run this to prep for Indy?
Hey, that would be a good one.
That's
You
that's
should get
that's
on
what
and
makes
ask about
sense.
that and
That's the
say-
only thing that makes sense to me for them to do this. Honestly,
Well, no,
I would
there-
want to
think
have a
there's-
race
there's
under
gonna
my.
be
Go ahead.
It's March 2022 to 24. I'm pretty sure there's a NASCAR race then.
Let's see though. Where is this place located? Can you research that?
Is it Cal? It's either, I think it's Arizona. It's either California or
Well,
Arizona.
he lives in Arizona. I feel like that's a warm
yeah,
state.
Yeah,
24th,
I
they're
think
at
it's
Coda.
Arizona. Oh, he won't be able to get his ass over there.
That's not that far. Austin's pretty close to Arizona in a plane. Hold on. Where is this place at? Thermal Club location. Palm Springs. But it does say 22nd through 24.
Yeah, it's a 3-day event. So it's practice on Friday, qualifying on Saturday, and then race on Sunday.
Upgrading things, making things where it could be suitable to bring 10 or 15 or 20,000 people. So unless we can bring in a huge crowd, 20,000 people, it's hard to only charge $100. This is weird. That's a researcher event. He says eventually we're going to have stands. So this is all they can really hold. It's
No, it's
2,000
bullshit.
because it's like a
They don't-
private deal is what they're saying.
Yeah, they don't want to open it up to people. You kidding me? A private club? No,
No.
they don't want that shit.
They don't have the
They
infrastructure.
don't want. No, they could temporarily have this infrastructure. Look at Formula One; they can pop up infrastructure like it's going out of style.
Well, Veilhauer Speed
These
Shop,
guys
you
don't-
should look him up. He knows all this shit. He builds these like badass antique road racing vehicles like Porsches, and there was some badass Coca-Cola like 80s IMCAs and stuff. He says it's a country club test track in Chowchilla Valley, California, even though it says it's in Palm Springs. I'm guessing-
Coachella.
Yeah. Coachella, sorry. Yes. So
Come on, Chaz, you should fucking know that.
why? Why would I know where a
Coachella, no?
private
You've never
IndyCar
been to
racetrack
Coachella?
is?
Coachella, no? Okay.
I probably drove through it.
Probably. Well, you would have seen. I think they have a private airport there. Does Block Speed Shop know that? Don't they have a private airport there too? For the rich
Not
guy?
sure. Most of them probably do because they just, most of the time they have these cars in shops, you know, and the guys just fly in to drive their private race cars whenever they want. Very rich man game.
Hey, Chaz, if you had $100 million, you'd do the same shit.
I mean, I ain't gonna say I wouldn't. That's why I just gave it its respect. So.
But yeah,
All right.
so see how messed up that is.
That's funny. I don't know if that's messed up though. Would you consider that messed up? Seriously? I don't know if that's
When
messed
you're
up. Or
charging
if that's
$2,000 a ticket.
when you can't hold a lot of people and you're gonna have this big event, I'm sure people want to watch it. So I mean, why not?
Why
I mean,
charge?
God
why
dang!
charge
I was about to say GD. I said God dang, because I'm smart. I'll cuss everything else, but the GD word, I don't do it. Go look at all my videos. Regardless, it is god dang, what, $4,000 to go stand at a corner in Vegas and watch those preppy ass bullshit motherfucking overrated, no talented driving some bitches of Formula One go prancing around the Vegas strips where they don't have security cameras for one of the biggest fucking domestic shootings ever. You think I want to go? You're gonna talk shit on a private race for $2,000? So you ain't got to deal with drunks and all that. It's gonna be nice and clean. See everything you want. Walk wherever you want to go. VIP experience shit. But you want to pay $4,000 to watch Max Verstappen. You want to pay $4,000 to watch Max Verstappen drive his ass by and have the rest of the field 6 seconds behind. What the fuck is that?
I watched Max Verstappen in 2011, 2012 in a go-kart in Las Vegas. That what I saw in 2012 is exactly what I see today in Formula One. Pure domination. He's
and
unbelievable.
I don't give a fuck to watch pure domination. Pure domination's fucking boring.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's what's so incredible at his level of talent, right?
There ain't nothing.
So
fucking
I saw
incredible.
him. No, this is next level on Kyle Larson. He was dominating a heat race, okay, in KZ shifter, right? 6-speed sequential 2-stroke engine, right?
Yeah.
50 fucking horsepower, okay?
Oh, so hard.
Well, 50 horsepower on
all
a go-kart that weighs
F1
385
guys are
pounds.
Overrated little bitches.
300. No, not all of them. Listen here.
Max
Max Verstappen dominating by 5 seconds on the field. Already got pole position by 0.3 of a second. Okay, he just turned 15 years old. The
no
youngest
competition.
Driver, okay, no. There was world champions there, like fucking the best of the best for years.
The best
okay?
of the best rich people for years.
He comes out of the last corner going onto the back straightaway and loses 2 positions. Okay? Loses 2 positions, back to third, gets all the way back to second before the checkered flag. I went over to his dad and I'm like, Yoss, what happened in Heat 1? He said that he felt the engine about to seize, so he grabbed an extra gear.
Oh.
Which bogged the engine down.
Grab another gear. Still rolling the victory lane.
Grabbed another gear so the engine didn't seize.
Oh.
Okay, listen.
I thought you were singing.
They took the engine apart, and part of the piston ring was broken. That's how fucking good this kid is. And was at 15 years old.
No competition. He's in one of the easiest series to dominate. You're just a damn pilot.
Oh, Chaz.
In those cars.
You're sounding like Broke Joe right now, dude.
Can't none of them drive a sprint car.
I guarantee you Max Verstappen could drive a sprint car.
Not on our level. Not on our level. You may be able to dominate the F1 of asphalt, where only multi-billionaires decide if you race or not. But I'm sorry, I don't think you could come over here where there's actual competition that isn't hidden behind a $1 billion playpen wall. If you step out of your playpen where all the rich kiddies play, and you come out here on the dirt where there's fucking wild sharks, you'll get your ass eaten up. You ain't used to it. He's in the F1 to me is like a giant 24-karat gold fucking fish tank, and only the preppy little rich people, billionaires, put the fishies in the tank, and that's all that race one another. They don't go up against the sharks out here in the dirt world. The dirt racing world on competition, just because of how much it costs, has so much more competition at a high level horsepower, because F1, obviously, the only thing comparable to a sprint car for power to weight is an F1 car. And I would put a late model above a cup vehicle. So I'm talking about fendered and open wheeled, our top divisions. There's no other top division race car like that with as many competitors, with as much competition. And F1 is the billion trillionaire's fucking private little goldfish bowl. They look nice. It's all about lust. All they're doing, the only reason that people love this stuff is envy and glory and materialism. There's nothing about it that has any merit whatsoever.
How?
How not? I just explained it. We already bitch about how it's hard for a driver to get into cup racing because of how much it costs. It happens because of how much things cost.
Like you,
what
Chaz?
Do you think F1 is 10 times as worse than NASCAR? The talent can't go to America because of money into NASCAR. How do you think it is for the talent across the world to get into Formula One? It's 10 times as worse. Well, those people are selected as well. Max Verstappen was picked by somebody. He's in the movie theater lead role.
No. Max Verstappen was the only one. He is the only one at 15, 16 years old that actually had a choice where he could go. He had offers at 15, 16 years old from Ferrari, from Mercedes, from Red Bull. And do you know what his father said?
What?
His father said, How long until my son's in Formula One? Ferrari said, when he's 20. Mercedes said, when he's 19.
Do you know how financially sound you have to be to get
you know
the
what Red Bull
attention
said?
of Ferrari?
You know what Red Bull said? You know what Red Bull said? We'll take them straight from Formula 3 straight to Formula 1 at 16 years old. And now they have a freaking rule in Formula 1 because of Max Verstappen, similar to what NASCAR does now have an age because of Kyle Busch being so fast at 16 years old in the truck.
Okay. Are you done with your thought?
What do you mean my thought? These are facts.
I'm about to throw some facts right back at you so we can continue the discussion.
Oh, you got some facts.
Here's the situation that you're missing. Now, in my opinion, talent, and a lot of people agreed, talent can't be taught. You either know how to throw the football or
100%.
you don't. Talent can't be taught.
No, that's 100%
right.
Correct. 100%.
So
that's a fucking fact.
There's rich people with talent, okay? There are some badass, talented, rich people.
To a point.
Right. But there's also a lot of talented, and there's not a lot of rich people in the world now. Keep this in mind. Out of the entire world, if your family pulls in more than $500 or $1,000 a year, you're in the top like 1 percentile, or I think it's $100,000. It's like the top 1% of the world. So that's that when you compare 1% of the people who can afford to get Ferrari's attention at 15 years of age, and you're telling me the greatest drivers out there are within the 1%, and we just admitted that talent is natural, I have a feeling that there's a lot of people in that 99% that didn't have that amount of money that are just as talented, if not more talented, than him, because he is already segregated to only compete against the other 1% talented rich people. So that's what I mean as they're a private little 1%er rich people tank. He's probably the best of the 1% rich people. I'm not denying that. But the reason I give more credit to the dirt world, as far as competition is concerned, is because you don't have to be in that 1% to compete. Therefore, in the dirt world, you're racing against 99% of the population. That's why I say it's sharks, because your fish, your goldfish, are going to be fucking comfortable forever. They don't have to worry about it with all their 1% money. The 99%, if you want to kick ass out here on the dirt in these affordable divisions, you got to be a fucking shark. You got to kill. You got to win to survive. So that's what I mean. I'm not necessarily knocking him, but to be 15 years old and even attracting or having the ability to afford to race in prior years to that, to even be able to attract these guys at 15, 16, 17, you have to be in the 1 percentile to even attempt doing that shit. You're only the best of the rich. You're not the best of the best, because the best is 100% of society, not the 1% you segregated yourself to.
So back to your point, you know, we have 16, 17, 18-year-olds hopping in a late model and doing pretty well, right?
Well, and I think, and hold on, the age deal, you mentioned the age deal. I'm just going to throw this real out, and I'm going to let you continue. The age deal, I think talent is natural, and I don't think just because you're 25 that talent is gone. I think at 25 years of age, you can still have that talent. At 30 years of age, you can still have that talent. So if you go out there and you earn enough money to reach a position, you earn enough money to reach a position to where you can afford to be on a dirt track, then you could still have enough talent to get it done. That the age deal, I don't really find that appealing as like credible as he did it at such a young age. Well, most of the time people are doing it at that young of an age because they can afford it.
Correct. And here's back to my point is, let's just say 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Why is it that when these so-called, you know, kids that get, you know, talked about XYZ, why are they not running up front on a regular basis in a 410?
I'm not sure.
Is it because they just have the opportunity and not the talent? It has to be that. Could it be the equipment? Could it be that these things are just the baddest motherfucking things on the planet, that if you have the talent, it will shine. If you don't, then you'll just be a mid-packer?
I mean, this is true.
It has to be true, and it goes back to your point where stop funding your fucking kid to run 5th or 6th.
Well, I don't want to get off topic,
Sanders
though.
Of the world,
you know, you had a point. You had a point with this Max Verstappen deal. I don't want you to lose your topic. I guess you agree then that Max Verstappen isn't this amazing thing?
No, he's the 1%, dude.
Well, he's the best of the 1%.
Him and Lewis Hamilton are the 1% in Formula One. Him, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, everybody else has gotten there because of daddy.
Really? So it isn't a best of the rich scenario. Okay.
So perfect example, you know, Lance Stroll. Do you know who? Well, you probably don't know this, but his godfather is Jean Todt. He used to be the head of Ferrari, and now he's the head of the FIA.
Oh, okay.
So when Jean Todt left Ferrari, the money that Lawrence Stroll had put into his son being a 10-year-old Ferrari development driver in the Ferrari Academy, spending $20 million, and knowing that his son's not going to get a seat at Ferrari, what does he do? Buys a Formula One team. So
right. Okay. Well,
I agree with you to a certain extent, but Max Verstappen's a 1%.
Okay. Okay. Fine. I agree. I think we need to cut it off there. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes on here. Not for you, but for me.
Oh, go to bed.
All righty. Well, thanks for calling in again, Clark Kent. You saved the day over Broke Joe.
Okay, sweetheart. Have a good night.
I did not say that. He did, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for our guest tonight, Zach Rhodes, Spike Fast Racing. And then, of course, Clark Kent. All of your chats have been supported. Of course, the $10 from Fish Small Waters. And the Small Waters is where Max Verstappen is located. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch catch you next time.
We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. So we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shades. Letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, outside winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do.